Okay. I will go find it.
Alright. If someone can promote it on the Discord.
Oh, sure.
Come on, YouTube. Show it. It's gonna take it a minute.
It's not.
Because it's being dumb.
It's not showing me.
Oh man, I look like a crazy person.
Okay, I reloaded the page. Now it's showing. Great.
I exist, says Sora. Gibbs.
Woohoo!
Twisted Tranquility. Louise.
Lol whiz.
Louise. I'm gonna call them Louise. Like Bob's Burgers. Louise.
I love Bob's Burgers. That's.
I used to hate it. I was like, this is like a crappy animated, almost Simpson style thing. Like it looks like it was
Kind of the
made
point,
by.
I think.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
I started.
I've never watched it, so.
Well, I was I was actually in the hospital, and it came on like the Saturday or Sunday night cartoon block on Fox,
Right.
and I started watching it, and I was like, this is actually really good. And then I got addicted and went back and watched all of the other seasons. That was like years and years ago. All right, Twilight Princess is the best game. Well, I had a conversation with someone the other day about, hey, it's the Game Over gang. Yes, we are. Chris.
Game over.
Yeah, one of us is missing because she's having a game over hangover.
Yeah.
Which is how we all woke up when we were in LA.
It's true. I feel bad I did this to her, but
Okay, so technically every time that Kayla has hung out with you outside of work, she has gotten a hangover.
James was like, are we sure about this?
Oh, she's there. Yeah, she's dead.
Oh no. Oh no, we had a fun night out.
If we want a fourth person, we could see if Gibbs could join.
Yeah, if Gibbs
yeah.
is down,
Gibbs, do you want to join?
or
Gibbs?
if he's up for it.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever considered that being down for something and being up for something both mean that you want to do it?
Okay,
I know.
Similarly, when I talk about like the air conditioning inside, in my head I think turn it down, because like when the music's loud you turn it down to get it quieter. So if it's too cold, I think turn the air conditioner down. But if you turn it down, you're technically turning it to like a lower degrees.
Temperature, yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh yeah, wait a minute.
It's the opposite with that as well. Aren't we all dying inside? Trinity, I love you have an excellent outlook on life.
No.
Gibbs says again. Yes, we don't need a fourth person, but it kind of makes it interesting.
Easier for the
enjoy it.
formatting.
Interestinger. Okay, so what are we talking about? I haven't even
Bananas.
explained this to you guys. Alright, so the biggest OMG moments in Zelda, that's basically
See.
when you're playing a game, a Zelda game, and something happens in the game, almost like the twist video that we did, Daniel. So like there's a big event happens, or there's a big twist in the game where something happens and you're like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Or like, this was amazing. Like a cutscene happens or something happens in the game, a boss fight, getting an item, learning some new mechanic, and you're like, oh, I gotta show everyone this. Which used to happen to me a lot. Like I would be playing a game and a cutscene would happen and I would pause it and go and get someone and be like, you gotta watch this with me, look how cool it is. And they're like, what am I looking at? This is stupid. I'm gonna go watch TV. And I'm like, no, it's not stupid. We're no longer friends.
No.
And then the next
Friends
cutscene-
off.
And then the next
friendship
cutscene
is off.
happens, and I go back and get them. And then the games that we're looking forward to in next year. I think we can do one game that we know is coming or think is coming. Like, there's still no real confirmation on Metroid Prime 4, but...
I feel bad for Metroid fans. That's
Yeah.
really annoying.
And then one game that we think might happen that is yet to be unannounced. Sort of like how the old president of Nintendo was like, hey, there's still some unannounced Nintendo games that are coming out this year.
Right.
And then, like, they announced the Mario and some other stuff on the last Direct. So games that we don't know for sure are coming out next year or even announced, but we would like to see.
Yeah.
And then we can pick one or two things from each of the lists there. And it should probably be almost as short as the last podcast with Miss Clickety.
Well, maybe. Yeah. It may be a huge tangent fest. So.
It could be.
You never know.
We are really good at those.
With no guest here to keep us on track. All right, we have 44 people. We have yet to start. Are we ready?
Yes.
I'm ready.
Wait, did we post this stuff?
I put on Discord and Twitter. Before we get officially started, I'm just gonna grab myself a glass of water.
Give me one too.
Get some H2O and.
Can you bring me some as well?
Marketing for Zephyr Hills.
I'll BRB.
Nice.
Product placement.
Oh my god, this
Zephyr Hills.
Annoying. Zephyr, I don't know what that is.
You don't know what Zephyr Hills is? It's kind of water.
No, I know.
Because I can't stand Dasani or Aquafina. They taste like minerals.
Oh.
And I'm like, ew.
We are
gross. Oh. I feel like I need like a piece of paper to write down like my thoughts on, because I know I'm gonna forget some of these. Okay. Can I reach that? I don't know.
You can get up like Daniel did.
Well, I just made a mess.
So everyone who is watching, and if you want to be a part of the show, you can join our Discord where you can submit your questions.
Which one to switch? Okay.
So we end the Zelda podcast taking and answering questions from people.
What is all of this?
So I got water.
Did you get my water?
And then I was like, oh, there's still coffee. So I got myself another cup of coffee as well. So basically, I'm going to make it. I'm not going to die. I'll survive now.
I'll make it because I had green tea this morning.
Yeah. Oh, so I want to mention this. The other day I got really annoyed.
With me? What did I do? I'm sorry.
It was people commenting on the... Let me finish typing this.
Okay. Coffee. Someone in the chat... Banjo Bear says waffles.
Oh yeah, Banjo Bear. That's like Kayla's biggest
I miss
fan.
waffles.
I like waffles.
I miss waffles.
Waffles are delicious.
So what happened?
Excuse me.
On the Facebook group, or not the Facebook fan page for the YouTube channel, I posted. Tara in the chat agrees with you, Ilya. But I posted about one of the videos where we were covering all of the news and stuff from like what Nintendo and Aonuma and everyone has said, and there were a couple of people in the comments that were like, this is clickbait or this is fake news, and I'm like, well, geez. I replied to them and I was like, I would agree with you, but it's literally the people who are in charge of the Zelda games talking about it. It's not me it's not us just giving our thoughts and being like, this is what's going to happen. It's us covering the people who are in charge.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know, I feel like people throw the term clickbait around too much. It's like, if the video is titled something and then that's exactly what we talk about in the video, and then someone comments and they're like, that's a clickbait title, and I'm like, do you know what that means? Yeah. It's like that, The Princess Bride, he's like, You keep saying that word. I don't think it means what you
means
think
what
it
you
means.
think it
Yeah.
I think it comes down
Inconceivable.
to, because there's some people that would see the title and be like, oh, there's new information out. I'll go and catch up and be informed. But then there's the ignorant side of that, to where people are like, well, if I don't know about it, then it must not be true.
Yeah. And then there was one where we were talking about like some of like future. No, my favorite example of this was of being called like clickbait and stuff. We're talking about when the potential Zelda 2 remake, or Ninty Creates wants to do a Zelda 2 remake, and it was like the title of the video is like exactly that, like, oh, this company Ninty Creates wants to do a Zelda 2 remake. And then someone was like, how come you didn't show any gameplay from it? And we're like, it's not a game that exists yet. Like, it's something someone wants to do, like, which we put in the title. And we talked about it, like, just saying, like, this was a statement made. I think that would be really cool if that happened. And, yeah, I don't know. It's just, that's always one that I'm just like, did you watch the video? Did you read the title?
Were you paying attention at all?
They're talking about pancakes in the chat, and it's making me hungry.
Oh my god.
Hey, YouTube commenters, if you see this,
Blueberry.
remember me. I will remember you.
The worst pancake I ever had was like the first time that I went to IHOP or something. I wanted a non-typical pancake. So at the time, I had never had a chocolate pancake, and I ordered one.
Ooh.
And
They're a little sweet.
I thought it was just going to have chocolate chips, but it was like an actual
like
chocolate
batter.
Yeah, and then they
chocolate
put chocolate
chip is fine, but too sweet otherwise.
Yeah. So then they had chocolate syrup on the pancake.
That's frankly too much chocolate. And
Yeah.
that's not something I thought
And I
would
have a
say.
major sweet tooth, and I think that's too much.
Yeah, and I was like, syrup for pancakes is already really sugary. This is like this is just like they should have just brought out like a bowl of sugar and then like another packet of sugar on the side. Like,
there you go.
Here you go, sir.
At the risk of you know, sounding un-Canadian, you know, I actually am not super into. I don't really like maple syrup very much because it's so sweet. Like, it's like pure sugar. Like, even the good stuff, like the very natural, like proper, good quality maple syrup, it's just like so. It's just too much for me. I'm like wincing because it's so sweet. But everyone loves it because they're like, it's Canadian. I don't know. And I'm like, just because something is Canadian doesn't mean it's good. Look at Tim Hortons coffee.
Oh my god. Yeah, my mom and I make our own sugar-free maple syrup, so it has the flavoring of maple, but it's not
I was
overly
talking
sweet.
to a friend the other day that got mad at me because I had never drank coffee.
I don't drink coffee either.
Why is that worth getting angry over? Like, I love coffee, but if someone's like, oh, I don't really drink coffee, I'm not gonna be like, get out.
Yeah.
We're not friends anymore, Jesse.
Alright. Are we ready to begin?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, Mr. Whale in the chat says Canada rules the world. We don't. We're way too passive for that.
Canada has a very attractive president.
Prime Minister.
Whatever they're called in
Justin
Canada.
Trudeau. I didn't vote for him, but he's okay. He's kind of he's way better than our last Prime Minister, both in the looks department and in the being a politician department.
But sadly, Daniel won't get a divorce and marry me, so I can move to Canada. So
it's not all fun and games.
Not my prime minister.
Mostly fun and games, though. No, I definitely would. Well, anyways, at the risk of getting super into Canadian politics, we should probably just move on.
Right. Zelda Collector's in the chat. He's one of the guys we invited to be on the podcast sometime.
I like that guy.
Yeah. I love it when I
Instagram.
go. So there's him. At the risk of sounding mean, someone else that I forgot their username. But there was a few people that I had went to their streams and was like, hello. and they got super excited, and he was one of them. And that was
Yeah.
when like I went back and was like, everyone go watch this, it's really awesome. And then there was this other girl that Jacob has been talking to. I don't know if I can say that. Anyways, they got super excited too. Whenever I joined, they were like, no, what's he doing here? Because I always go and I joke around and I'm like, hi, I'm your biggest fan. And they're like, no, I'm your biggest fan.
That's so quaint and adorable.
Yeah. All right.
Also,
Yeah, I've been in history.
just as a side note. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just saying I've been to Zelda Collector's stream as well.
Is there like too much background noise on my end or coming in, or?
I don't hear any.
No.
Okay.
All right.
My
So I'm
son's watching
doing.
The Last Airbender, the series, not the movie. So.
What about the new
And,
anime? So everyone that's watching, I got to do something really quick. And instead of ending the stream, I'm just going to do this. Daniel and them can still see me, but I got to send a message. And I didn't want other people to see it.
So, LOL Wiz says, Daniel knows your fellow Canadians. It's okay, I noticed you. It's okay. I even said hi to you in the chat. Just thinking about make me hungry. We did disappear. Oh no. Oh no, but can they still hear us? That's the question.
I think they can.
Now I'm just thinking about pancakes
yeah,
and
they can.
waffles.
All right.
I made
Pancakes.
a sugar-free French toast muffin thing yesterday, and it was
Nice.
okay, but it just made me want the real thing.
Why is Rick's name Pickle Rick?
Why is it not Pickle Rickle? I'm just saying.
I don't like pickles.
So, speaking of pancakes, there's a have you guys ever heard of the show Yo Gabba Gabba?
No.
Okay.
I've definitely heard of it.
Okay, it's a kids show. So when my son
I'm thinking
was
it's
like,
from my years of teaching dance. I know I've heard it.
okay, when my son was like 1.5, 2 years old, he was really into the show. It's like kind of that age range, but it's actually it's written by like different musicians and stuff. So it's actually not like just terrible to watch. I guess would be the right explanation. Like Mark Mothersbaugh is in it. He's the guy from Devo. You know, and they have like guest bands on all the time, like freaking The Killers and yeah, just like tons of like bands just like come on and guest in it. And Elijah Woods was in an episode,
He's
and with
my
Jack Black,
favorite.
and like yeah, they just it's a ridiculous show, total kids show. But there's a song in it. They have I can't remember what which rapper it was.
I'm thinking of a
That
certain
came
one.
on, but he did a rap about pancakes, and it's it's hilarious, and it's like it sounds like just very like hip hoppy, and it's like pancakes and syrup, and it just it's ridiculous, but it's hilarious. This show is I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it, but then like you know like have it on for my kid, and then I'm like it's in the background basically, and I'm just like killing myself laughing because of the absurdity of it all. Yes, so there's a little bit of a side note for you guys. Thank you for attending story time. Who's Mr. Whales talking about Bowsette in the chat? You can leave the chat, sir. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But the whole Bowsette thing deeply disturbs me.
Someone
refuse
asked
to
us
look it up.
Talk about that.
Sorry? Someone asked us?
Yeah. And
Why?
I'm like, it's one of those things. Like, there's a lot of earlier I said there are no good news stories. What I mean by good news stories is not necessarily something that's not interesting, but something that like there's some stuff that we could talk about that's would be really interesting and is newsworthy, but it would just be us reading what the news was and each giving one sentence, and that's not the type of videos that we do. That would just be like a basic news story. Like there's some news that is important to know, but it's not something that you could really have a discussion on because it would be really boring. So not good for podcasts. Like if we had like a speed round or something where we just went through a bunch of news like we used to do,
Mhm.
But
Yeah, but people like when we get more in depth on like less topics. That's what I found.
Yeah.
all right, we're about
Yes.
30 minutes in, and I think we're ready to do
Oh,
the
whoops.
podcast. I think we're ready to begin, everybody.
Okay.
Right.
Any veterans know this is what happens.
Balzette is, I don't know, my brain doesn't think on it.
Mhm.
All right, so
Just there, fixed myself.
fixed yourself. I tried explaining Balzette to my friend last night.
Did you see
That
that
was-
video I sent you?
Me?
I put it in the. I think I put it in this chat. A link to it.
A couple of hours about Balzette.
Oh, the timeline one?
No, last. That one was funny too. But I sent it like right after we finished the podcast last week.
Let me do something.
It was.
I don't think I saw it.
Oh well. If you just scroll up in the chat, it's there. So. It's a very funny video. So, I don't know words.
I don't know.
Jesse's gone. Why is he gone?
Balzette made me leave.
Oh, okay. That's understandable.
No, I'm here. I had to do something.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What was it? Look charming?
Yeah.
That's what you had to do.
Kib says search at your own risk concerning Balzette. I'm like, yeah, I chose not to look at it.
It's funny, last night when I was out with Chublime, we were talking about Netflix Marvel shows, and then she couldn't remember the name of the guy who plays Daredevil, and I was like, oh, all I remember is his last name is Cox, but I don't remember his first name, so I'll look it up. And she's like, don't Google that. I'm like,
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm like, no, I'm gonna Google Daredevil. So
Yeah. Don't Google the last name.
she's like, don't Google his name. So yep, that's the thing with Google, is you'll always come up with the worst results because humanity is terrible.
Can be.
Moral of the story here. So oh,
She laughing.
forgot she's in the chat. You're alive. She's alive, everybody.
All right. I think we're ready to begin, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Sorry, everyone who waited an hour.
Oh, yes, everyone is like the 40 people that are watching us right now while we're just like.
All right. All right, Ilya, go ahead. Start us off.
All right, do it.
Wait, what are we even talking about first?
What? No, you got to do the
No,
intro.
just do the intro.
Introduce us, right?
Okay.
Name drop them patrons.
Yeah.
Oh, I can do
Cover
that.
all the stuff we're
I
talking
know
about.
how to.
There was like a leg on your camera, Ilya.
Oh
Or
yeah,
was
there
it me?
is a leg.
And like you were like sitting like leaned way back, and then suddenly it was like you were like like it just jumped. I was like, oh, she moved
Trying
at
to skip
unnatural, supernatural speed.
click off click off your video and then click it back on.
Oh, yeah. I guess it wouldn't lag on my end, obviously, but
'Cause it's like it'll play for like 4 seconds and then it'll pause for 4 seconds. No, that didn't work.
is it better now?
No. Alright.
Why?
Would you like to do it, Daniel?
What is with my thing? Should I leave the call and come
can.
back on?
You can try. I don't know.
Oh, she gone.
We had friends who cosplayed as Balzette.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I know. Holly put together like a costume like in a day.
Woman.
To do the. I was like, well, calm down. No.
Do you look better? Does she look better to you, Daniel?
Yep. Nope. Definitely better.
Okay, sweet.
Great.
Ilya, do you want to
Okay.
do the intro? You've never done the intro.
I've
Do
done the
honors.
intro.
No pressure.
done it
there's only
before. I
44
can do
people
this.
watching.
They're watching.
Got this. Okay, y'all
And
ready?
Maybe 1,000 on the edited version.
Are y'all ready? Hold on, I can't see your faces. I'm gonna assume you
I was
are.
nodding. I was nodding.
Yeah.
So
I figured the silence meant that you were nodding. Okay. Okay. Hey y'all, I'm Ilya Rose on the Hylian Gamescast podcast for Game Over Jesse. So we have Game Over Jesse, obviously, or Jesse, or I think there was another weird nickname at one point, but I forgot it, so just ignore that.
Oh, Jessup?
Jessup, yes. However you want to pronounce his name. And Daniel King Bergerson, and then me, and we would have Kayla, but she's with us in spirit in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
And today we have some interesting topics. We're news, we're talking about our biggest, oh my gosh, moments in Zelda and 2019 games that we are looking forward to, as in the year, not 2019 games.
Oh,
Total.
really? I made a huge list.
He was so prepared.
I was excited.
Yes, not that many. I don't think there are that many. And then we're going to talk about things that you might only notice in Zelda if you're an adult. Hidden jokes and things like that. And then we'll have our Zelda mailbag. But you know what? When it comes to the Zelda mailbag, we don't always get time to answer like millions of questions, or at least like tens of questions. But there is a way to have your question guaranteed to be answered. Two ways, actually. If you do a super chat thingy in the YouTube chat when it's going live, obviously, then we will definitely answer. Or if you become a Patreon supporter. If you become a Patreon supporter, no matter what, your question will be answered, no matter how weird it is. So take advantage of that. Like our Patreon supporters, Jacob, Michael, Elmer, Bootleg Boy, and some of our longtime Patreon supporters, Gus, Justin, That One Pancake, Key of Time 15, Monica, Casey, Link Use the Triforce, Megan, Lunarium, Robbie, Shadow to Us, Rusty, and Lovable Christy, and as we always like to point out, not Unlovable Christy. Their questions are guaranteed.
Woohoo!
I think that was the first time you ever did the full intro.
The full intro? I feel like I've done it before. I know I've read the Patreon names before.
You've done intros for videos and maybe the mailbag. But
I've definitely done voiceover intros. I almost always do the intros. For
That's
voiceover.
true. And that little end card thing.
Yes. I didn't notice that till recently that had been used on all of them, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize that. I guess they sounded particularly perky in that clip.
It's a good clip. But sometimes it catches me off guard. Let's just finish the video and then it's like, hey y'all, and I'm like Ilya. Hey.
Weren't you talking this entire video? Because I'm like, it's me again, and I'm like, it was me the whole time. But
Yeah.
there was someone that was funny commented on a video and was like, I love that she doesn't even let him finish the video before she interrupts to promote her own YouTube channel. And someone else commented on it.
What?
And was like, it's the same YouTube channel.
Yeah, right?
They're not promoting a different YouTube.
Like, it's what? Don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, hard.
But
Oh,
it's
so
I mean, not to say we can't promote Ilya's channel because it's good. You guys should go subscribe. Just Google, just search it, Ilya Rose, and
It's really simple.
you'll find it very easily. So, but yeah, that's not what was happening.
I don't think I've ever once read an intro for a video the way it's written. It always says, what's up, y'all? Or it never says y'all. It says, what's up, guys? And I'm like, I can't say that. It doesn't roll off my
What's
tongue.
up,
So it always
everyone?
begins,
Say-
hey, y'all.
Okay, more southern.
so I put that because I don't know how to do video intros. I think I'm just gonna change it to hello everyone or whatever. I don't know, but
I'm still going to say,
Let's
hey,
start
y'all.
every video. Good day, friends.
greetings and
Tag?
salutations.
Greetings.
There's a
You're
reason
probably
why-
wondering why I've called all of you here.
There's a reason why my videos have an animated intro, because I'm like, I don't want to say who I am.
It's like we've
like,
been
There's
expecting.
the animation done by Daniel, and it says who I am, and then I start.
Yeah. No, so
What? Lol Wiz just subscribed to me. Thanks,
Oh,
man.
Whoa!
Or woman, dude,
The-
person.
So kind of funny, the YouTube channel that was the biggest inspiration probably on my stuff. Greg always did his videos like that. Like, he would always start it off, even before he had his YouTube channel, when he was doing IGN, he would begin literally every video with "What's up, everybody?" because he had no idea how to do it. So, yeah.
It can feel weird.
Yeah. But I think that's
I don't
how
know
I
if
got
I
used
have
to it.
it.
Also, there's an update. Either Daniel or I have an invite to be on Hard for Games.
I'm pretty sure it's Jesse that was invited, but
Well, no. No.
he messaged you
because I was already talking to him because we had the guy that he was trolling.
Oh yeah,
I
was
talking to
funny.
him about that.
Where did Washington keep his army?
In his sleeves.
sleeveys.
Dad jokes for the win.
Yeah. All right, I think we can start.
What are we talking about today?
You already said what we're talking
we
about.
may or may not
Exactly.
have a guest
OMGs.
joining as like a fourth person sometime. Whether it's the Zelda collector, Gibbs, or Danielle.
My hair's driving me bananas today, but if you guys couldn't tell.
Someone in the chat said that they identify as a banana.
As a purple banana.
Yes.
Bananas
more
have
specifically.
become a sort of inside joke on the channel.
A little bit.
Like, they were there for the podcast. They were there for
on our LA live in-person podcast, where it's just the table, just our recording equipment, and just bananas.
Oh, and wine. And you had wine and beer.
I was double fisting it. It was like, yeah, I have a problem, everybody. I was on vacation. That's my excuse. I guess now I'm double fisting water and coffee. So
it's weird that like business, like technically that would be a business trip, but it was like the closest thing to a vacation I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, we're supposed to be working.
I feel that.
let's eat the whole time. All right.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. We can begin.
business trip.
Wait, hold.
I consider it a
Did Gibbs ever
vacation.
message?
I mean, he was in the chat.
Hold on.
He basically put the best topic in the world into the chat by saying Tinklet.
So I hid our screen so people can't see my thing. Oh, here.
What?
What is going on?
Yeah.
Can I be purple? One of my favorite colors, but not real dark.
Can
You
Sure.
can be what you wanna be.
I am Antique Rose. Not
Gibbs
because my
did
name is
message.
Celia Rose, but that's my favorite color, antique pink. Dusty Rose.
Oh, I have a message from Gibbs. Oh, it's Tinglet. It's real. You know what's weird is this Tinglet thing is not all that different from Tingle, just to begin
Okay.
with.
Gibbs is gonna join
That's
for Mailbag.
frightening.
That's
V frightening.
All right, I have a plan.
good, because so far
Potential-
this podcast has not
So
been
far,
very-
we don't have one.
This is Kayla is not here, and you see what happens. When,
Yes.
when the
And I'm
person's
normally an
not-
organized person, but stuff like this, I'm like, yeah, it's just kind of crazy. If it was schoolwork or my job, I would be like color coding, numbering, bullet points.
Well, see,
Oh, that's disturbing.
this is why I always say
Why?
that if I was if I was just an employee, but if I was the boss of an
You are the
employee
boss.
like myself,
You are.
I would fire myself
Why?
because I am very lazy. Like the Mega Man video is like maybe 10
I
minutes
forgot.
from being done, but every time I look at it, I'm just like, ugh.
Just
Mostly
think of the
because like the only part
bloopers.
left to edit is putting the gameplay on the voiceovers that I did.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to listen to my own voice. So every time I see it,
I feel
I'm
that.
like, I can do this, or I can start editing another video. Alright, anyways, okay, we can, I think, hold on. I feel so bad.
I keep leaning backwards, so I'm like, I'm just going to bring my microphone down here.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Make life.
I
easier.
work at my chair at my desk and like
Okay,
recline
so
far back, but
here's
this
the
one
thing.
can't. bad.
All right. We're going to have 2 guests. Gibbs is going to join for the second half. Zelda Collector did not message back, but we have this Maya.
Just kidding.
He was in the chat. Maybe he was watching.
He
and
was.
Couldn't
And he
Gorbs?
put the link to my YouTube channel in the description.
Yeah.
He always promotes me in his stream, and I'm like, dude, you have more subscribers than I do.
Alright.
Because he's more consistent than me.
I love when we just like slide down off the screen.
I want him to be on just for his accent. I want to get him to narrate a video.
Can you
Just-
please get him to narrate something?
Because you don't want to?
No, because I want to hear the voice. Who this?
Hello.
Hello.
Who this? I don't know this person.
Hello. No, hi. But I know you. Weird.
That was me when I first joined.
Yeah. So just like Zelda Collector, who's in the chat, she is also a fan that does streams and stuff. And one of the
Sweet,
people
good
that
to
I
know.
went to and was like, "Hey, I'm your biggest fan," and like freaking out. So
True story.
So go ahead and introduce yourself. For the people.
Hi. Yes, hello people. My name is Maya. I recently started streaming on Twitch like a month ago, and it's been going really, really great. I'm a huge geek, as you might be able to tell by the stuff and things around me and things. And I'm here today because Jesse was like, "I'd like to have you on my podcast," and I was like, "Holy shit, you know me!" So, and that was that. So yeah.
Andy in the chat says narrate Morgan Freeman style. That's
Oh my God.
Sexy Mac is Morgan Freeman, who's not on here.
Can he do a Morgan Freeman
Yeah,
impression?
he does. He did it while we were playing Fortnite.
Oh my
that's
gosh.
beautiful.
That's where so he did Morgan Freeman while we were Skyward Sword. I was streaming Skyward Sword, and then he did Kermit. He was narrating what I was doing as Kermit, and that's where the Kermit reviews came from.
Oh my gosh. Can I narrate something as a 3-year-old? I'm just kidding.
Do
Yeah.
it. No, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Give her a dramatic reading.
Breath of the Wild from a 3-year-old's perspective.
Well, it might be better than the racist Kermit. So, or you need a Kermit.
Hang on,
Now we just need someone to be David Attenborough.
Oh, that'd be good.
All right. So when Daniel gets
Unfortunately, I
back,
don't have
we
a-
will begin.
I don't have a perfect voice, so it's not going to be me, but
I've been working on my 3-year-old voice.
yeah. Well, you can't
fun.
just keep bringing it up without like showing it to the world, right? It has to be something, right? It's got to be.
Can't think of anything.
We've been
All right,
doing
I
this
got
for
you.
like
Don't
an
even
hour.
worry about it. Hold on.
I know, we're so bad.
I'm going to give you a script. Hold on, give me a second.
Do a German.
I can just say
3-year-old girl.
Zelda is the bestest game ever.
Yeah, do it.
Sure.
I have to think.
Zelda is the bestest game in the whole world.
Oh, what did
That
I
is-
just walk back into?
That had the terrifying likeliness of a child, you know. So that was pretty good.
I am a child.
All right,
That's
so
something that you would hear in a horror game. Not gonna lie to you.
Zelda
That's
collector
true.
said he
100%
could
true.
not join. So, yeah.
A shame.
Had 5
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
A shame.
That's also fun fact. Rick, who we stayed with us at E3, everyone, RMFH
Rick.
Gaming,
Good
I
guy.
met him the same way. Well, he and CC, because like Zelda Collector and Maya, right?
Yeah.
You have like the 2 names, so I don't know which to call you.
Me? I have 2
Yeah.
names?
It's like
Maya and Danny?
Oh,
Wait,
that's,
what are you
that's not
talking about?
Danielle.
Oh well, my last name is Daniele, but it's weird. It's
Okay.
it's a weird deal. Maya is my first name, but it's weird.
All right. So, anyways,
Names are
Maya,
weird.
Zelda Collector, RMFH, CC, and some other people. I met them all the same way. Just looking for new upcoming YouTube, Twitch, Zelda people. Anyways, after an hour and a half, we can finally start. Are you ready, Daniel?
Oops.
All right.
Yes.
So in the chat group that we have, I posted a link to some of the stuff that we're talking about. So if you want to open up the Google Doc,
It's a
I am.
Google Doc. By the way, Maya, I have your shirt, 2 of them in green.
Yes, that's amazing.
Okay, now this is gonna sound
And
weird. As I have
matching
underwear
pants.
that matches that
Heck
shirt.
yes. The dream.
Nice.
The dream.
All right. So we're gonna start talking about. So there's gonna be like 4 discussion topics, and then we're gonna do the Q&A. The first one is our biggest OMG moments in Zelda. So basically, when you're playing Zelda, whether it's Breath of the Wild, Ocarina of Time, A Link to the Past, whatever, and you come across something, a cutscene, an event, a dungeon, a boss fight, whatever, and it makes you stop and be like, this was amazing. I hope there's more of this. Or you want to run and tell someone about it because it was so epic. So that's basically what this is. Starting with you, Daniel. Do you have one?
I do. In Skyward Sword, when I realized that the sword you were forging from the Goddess Sword ended up being the Master Sword, and I was like, ah! I actually did like a full-on nerd squeal and like jumped in my seat. So that was probably my biggest like OMG moment. I would say, like, just having that realization, like, this is the origin story. This is what's happening here, and I got super excited. And that was one thing that didn't let the internet ruin for me. So I actually got to kind of discover it naturally, which is rarity these days. So
the look of it not already give it away.
Like,
for
it
you?
starts to look similar, but other swords in Zelda have had a similar look. Like in the DS games, for example, the Phantom Sword and then the Locomo Sword both look very similar to the Master Sword. There's been loads of other swords. Even the Picori blade, before it becomes the Four Swords, looks like the Master Sword already. So I guess I just didn't think very much of it until it ended up actually being legit a thing. So I was like, oh, awesome. So
yeah, I could see that. Like, for me, whenever I was in that, I don't know if it was where I was actively looking up information on the game or if I just assumed it was going to be, because you find it in a temple and it's like in the similar pedestal and everything. So, and then like you see him holding up the Master Sword on the cover the same way that you have to hold up this sword. So maybe I just like drew too many connections and just assumed.
Maybe I'm not that smart.
No.
Have you thought about this?
Not that you're not smart. All right, Ilya, do you have yours picked out?
Yes, I had 4, so I'm trying to choose one.
Oh my god.
I can get it down to 2. One of them is really quick, which is discovering who Ravia was in A Link Between Worlds.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. And if I had played A Link to the Past, I maybe would have caught on because of the bunny thing, but I didn't. So, but probably the biggest thing was learning more about Hero Shade in Twilight Princess and realizing, oh, this is a direct descendant, like same bloodline and everything. And I was like, that was my moment of all the fangirling and the fan theories. Yes! So that was probably the biggest one, realizing this was actually Link from Ocarina of Time. Especially once they confirmed it.
All right. And what about you? Do you have yours picked out? You were kind of brought on last minute.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. It's all good. So I was... No, it's fine. Going kind of off what Ilya was saying about how, it is the same Link in Twilight Princess, or it's like the same descendant, right? It was like kind of a cool thing. I can't remember exactly what it's called. Like, I was trying to think about it. But the sword master from Twilight Princess who like teaches you all the moves and stuff, that's supposed to be... the Hero Shade, so that's actually supposed to be, Link from way back when, and I didn't know that until years after playing the game, and once I found it out, I was like, how did I know that? Like, what? But also, because that was kind of exactly what she said, that's what I was thinking, and then I was like, dang it, it's like she's reading my mind right now.
That happens
to us a lot.
Yeah.
Same game, oh my goodness, okay. Same game, Twilight Princess, I don't know why the moment stands out so much to me, or why the specific event does, but you know that scene where you're in Kakariko Village and the Colin gets like kidnapped by the dude, and then he's like strung up on the big like pole, and then he's running around with him like while riding a giant boar. There's something about it that is like so terrifyingly cool to me. Like I just thought it was a really, really cool game mechanic of like trying to save this kid off the back of a giant boar orc guy, you know, like, and I was like, because at that time I didn't really know anything about Zelda when I was playing Twilight Princess. It was like one of the very first games I remember really, really playing, but it was like one of those things that, again, later on I'm still like goosebumps, you know, like it's a really cool thing.
Okay. It was really scary.
Yeah, it was. You're like,
I played high stakes, you know. It's
It's probably one of the reasons it had the T for teen rating because of
for sure kidnapping children.
And probably outfit design.
Probably yeah.
So I would say mine would be. There's a few different things that I think of. One is in Ocarina of Time when you are able to travel back and forth between the future and the present or the past, and you're able to see how things change, which is really weird because I keep thinking of the interview from Aonuma and Miyamoto where they say like there were supposed to be 3 separate timelines, like the past, the future, and the present, and then they just made it the future and the present. So like thinking that there could have been like another third world to explore, like that would have been crazy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but just off of what we got though, like that was a big thing for me, is because you see like in Breath of the Wild, when you get off the Great Plateau and you explore everything, it's already in ruins. Wind Waker has some places are in ruins, like the Great Fish Isles, is it? And then, yeah, Twilight Princess, you kind of get to see some places go in ruins, like whenever the Twilight Realm takes over. But it was never as big of a contrast as in Ocarina of Time, because you become familiar with all of the different areas, like Lake Hylia, Goron City, all of these places. And then when you become an adult, if you go to Kokiri Forest, it's now overran by Deku Babas and Deku Scrubs. It's like everything's been going to chaos ever since like the Deku Tree died. And then you go to Goron City. Everyone's kidnapped and trying to be fed to the dead dragon that was revived. All except the one Goron who just happens to be named after you. So like there's like the sad moment in the game where Link or you as the player realize that you had such an impact on all of the Gorons when he was a kid, you became such good friends with them that the leader named their son after you. And then they're all gone because they're all about to be killed. And then you go to Zora's Domain and it's completely frozen. You go to Lake Hylia, it's completely dried up. You go to all of these places and it's the exact opposite. Hyrule Castle town's like overran by Redead. Hyrule Castle is basically destroyed and lifted above like a lava pit. The only normal-ish place is Kakariko Village, and even that is different because now it has almost everyone there. Even Lon Lon Ranch is kind of taken over by Evil Luigi. So
it's kind of one of those things where I was just gonna say it's kind of like one of those things where people say like, oh, like Nintendo games are for kids or Zelda games are for kids. It's like if you go from being kid Link to adult Link and you see Redeads for the first time, that's not like a kid experience. Like that scars you if you're a child, or that scars you if you're an adult sometimes. So it's like that's a really interesting thing, because yeah, I think that's a really memorable moment for a lot of people when everything's just completely changed.
Yeah.
Redead scared me so much as a kid. I actually hid behind a couch when my brother was playing it, and it just freaked me out. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's rated E for everyone, but then, you know, you're playing this game and you're in the bottom of the well and you're like,
no.
No.
Is this? Yeah. Somehow Dead Hand got past the ESRB and they gave it an E for everyone stamp, so dead hand, this horrible monster in the bottom of the well that's in a room that's literally made out of skulls.
With hands sticking
and
out.
it's hands sticking. The most terrifying enemy design in any Zelda game.
Yeah, and then
I was 3 when that game came out, and I watched my brothers play it. And I'm just sitting there like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go play on my Game Boy Color Barbie Mermaid. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Isn't there like text and stuff for that saying like the history of Hyrule is like written in blood or something like that?
Here's
Yeah.
written the Hyrule's bloody history of greed and hatred. Something to that
Really?
effect.
Along those lines, yeah.
It's like you
In the Shadow
No.
Temple.
you go from like the
It's a
water.
mausoleum. Great.
You go from like the water temple to Kakariko village and it's on fire, and then something breaks out of the well and it's like, okay, well now you have to go to the past and go down that well.
And
Which is
technically
funny, because
Link
that
is still
means-
like 10
Yeah.
in his head.
Yeah.
Kind of means that when you go into the bottom of the well, even though you don't encounter him, Bongo Bongo is down there.
Yeah.
Which is but then you just like don't run into him. But it's like
That's honestly even
that's so
scarier, is that he's
freaky,
just
yeah.
watching. Yeah,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
just waiting.
So someone commented on a video yesterday about Bongo Bongo. What you just said reminded me of it, saying it was the video on like the top 10 worst things that Link has ever done. And
Oh.
they had said like, why isn't Bongo Bongo on this list? Link killed him. Like he was, because Bongo Bongo was supposed to be a man, and then Link kills him. And I'm like, the whole point of Bongo Bongo is like he was already killed by a guillotine. Like his wrists are cut off, his head's cut off.
And it's replaced by a giant eye.
Yeah.
that's yeah. It's
For
a very-
kids. Rated
E
E
for everyone.
Yes. It's
and
always
the-
that
the
meme
Majora's
of
Mask,
young
too,
Link
is-
with dead hand. Rated E for everyone.
Yeah.
My butt. No.
I think we can move on to the second thing on here, right?
Woohoo.
Yay.
All right. So in 2000, well, it is 2018. Never mind. I messed up. Sorry, guys. All right. So
What year
It's almost
is it?
over. Got a few months.
yeah, a
That's
couple,
true.
a few left.
Oof, how did that happen?
What? Why did you just
No,
go
I'm just
quiet?
waiting on Daniel. So that whenever this segment of the video gets uploaded, it's not like Daniel's head over here. Yeah. So
Breathing away from the mic like chocolate rain.
yeah. So
okay.
a few months ago, Nintendo, the ex-president of Nintendo, the one that took over after Iwata passed. Do you remember his name, Daniel? I can't remember his name.
Kimishima?
Yeah. So a couple of months ago, Kimishima, was that him? I don't know. Anyways, he or whoever the president was had the interview after E3 saying that there were still some unreleased or unannounced games that were going to be coming out at the end of before the end of 2018. Because at the time people were complaining like, oh, well, E3 wasn't really that great. And it turns out they had other games to announce, they just didn't announce them because they didn't want anything to be overshadowed by Pokemon Let's Go and Super Smash Brothers and the new Star Fox announcement and everything, which they didn't really care too much about. I guess they seen that they could, okay, we can let things overshadow that because that's Ubisoft, not necessarily Nintendo. But anyways, they recently had their Nintendo Direct where they revealed some of these unannounced games that they were talking about.
Animal Crossing! Bam, 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 bam. Sorry.
Yeah. Sadly, Animal Crossing, not this year though, next year. But
I know.
they did reveal
Sadly.
like the new Super
Okay.
Mario Bros. And some other things that were remakes or ports of the Wii U version. So we had a discussion a while back before that Nintendo Direct on what we thought those unannounced games were. So as a kind of sequel discussion to that, what would be some games for 2019 on the Nintendo Switch that you were looking forward to? So we're going to do one that we know for sure might come out next year, like Metroid Prime or Animal Crossing or Yoshi or whatever, and then one that you would like to see come out that is yet to be announced. So kind of like a dream game that you would love to see come out next year. Starting again with you, Daniel. What is
Okay. Well,
the one game.
You already know my answer.
No, I don't. Because it could be
Yoshi.
a tie between Yoshi or Metroid.
Thing is, with Metroid, I don't think we've seen enough of it, so I think it'll come out 2020, actually. I hope it comes out 2019, but I think it'll realistically be in 2020. But Yoshi is, I think they have, like I said, 2019 for sure. And I love me some Yoshi. So that would be my one that they've announced, Yoshi's Crafted World. Just, it looks really fun, like a really fun follow-up to Yoshi's Woolly World, which I put a lot of hours into. As for not like the kind of pipe dream game, it's kind of a cop-out answer because it's a port from Wii U, but I want to see them bring over Star Fox Zero, just like port it, fix some of the control issues that the game had. You know, gyros are still great, but then just if we can make it a little less like in your face, you need to be in cockpit view for this thing. You know, just make it a little less like gamepad centric almost, and then bring it to Switch. I think that would be awesome, and especially if Starlink is kind of drumming up hype for it, you know, like I think that would be a really good sort of segue into it. Like, oh, you liked playing Star Fox and Starlink? Well, guess what? Oh, we got our Star Fox game for you. So, you know, that would be really cool. That's my answer.
All right.
Cool.
Ilya.
Well, for confirmed stuff that I know is coming out that I'm most excited for is clearly Animal Crossing. For sure. As far as what I would like to come out in 2019 on the Switch, I think it would honestly, for me, because so much stuff is confirmed right now that I do want to see, that the only thing I can think of is something Zelda related, probably a port of something. Which, out of all of them, I'm sorry if I'm stealing Jesse's answer, it would be Skyward Sword, because again, I haven't had the chance to experience that because I'm left-handed and I don't want to deal with right-handed motion controls. Which I think my last video was about that, being left-handed using, yeah.
Nintendo hates
that one was considered a little clickbaity. That one you could consider clickbaity, but I did talk about it, so. But anyway, I would be fine with almost any port from N64, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask onward. But I think more than anything, I would want Skyward Sword, because again, I haven't played it and I really want to. So either port it and have an option to do motion controls and flip the whole game like they did with Twilight Princess on the Wii, or just make it so I don't have to use the motion controls. But that's just me.
All right. And Maya, do you have...
No, my most anticipated. Again, I feel like me and Ilya are like the same person because I've been waiting for a new Animal Crossing since basically I've finished my like entire like save file, right? Like there's nothing more I can do in New Leaf. It's just done. It's just done, and I can't go back. I can't go back and play the other games. It's just not as good. So I've been waiting for a new Animal Crossing. I was so upset at E3 when they didn't say anything about Animal Crossing. I was retweeting like memes about how like sad Isabella, like the dog, you know, like from New Leaf, the assistant, she like how she would just be sad and stuff, and I was just retweeting those for like a day or two afterwards because I was so upset. So I'm super hyped for a new Animal Crossing in 2019. I think that's going to be great. As for a new game, I don't think it's going to happen. I've been waiting for it since as long as the DS has been around, like the original DS. But I really want a new Nintendogs. I don't think it's ever gonna happen, but I want one so bad. Like I want an updated, more variety Nintendogs, and it's just like I want everything just to be better than it was on the DS games. And I don't know if anybody agrees with me there, but that like those games meant so much to me when I was a kid because I didn't when I was younger and didn't have a dog. I was like it means the world to me, you know. So, but if that's not gonna happen, I think that porting like the really like older Zelda games for use on the Switch would be a really good idea. Like I haven't had a chance to play like A Link to the Past or something like that because I haven't had like something to play it on other than an emulator, and I don't really like using emulators all too much. So it's you know, it'd be really cool to see some of the older Zelda games put onto the Switch, you know, as a, you know, here they are, play them kind of thing.
I agree.
Cool.
I think
If they did that, I'd be like, here, take my rupees.
Oh,
Take my rupees!
nice.
Hey, there you
I
go.
love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think A Link to the Past. So right now, I think they have until December on the Nintendo Online NES games. Like, they have everything that's coming out until December. And I think we're likely going to get a year's worth of NES games, and then after a year of Nintendo Online, they'll change it to Super Nintendo games. Or maybe, like, that's an announcement.
Give me Mario Paint.
Yeah, I could see them making that an E3 announcement next year, being like, everyone has been playing and enjoying all of our online NES games. So, as a thank you, here are the next games. And then instead of getting more NES games, it's like A Link to the Past, Super Mario World, and all of these other stuff. And Joey in the chat, Ferris Wheel Productions, just posted a link for Nintendog fans. A Nintendo.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold the presses.
Check that out. But everyone in the chat's talking about Nintendogs. So
Yep.
Yes! You guys know where it's at.
So yeah, I think A Link to the Past, I feel like I don't know if they're going to... Part of me is conflicted on whether they're just going to introduce Super Nintendo games with the Nintendo Online, or if hopefully before that they will introduce something akin to Virtual Console, to where if there's a game that's not able to be played from the online service, then you can just purchase the game. Like maybe some more obscure game. Like if some third party wants to like re-release theirs. Like Sega has their Sega Forever. What was it called? Was that it, Daniel?
Sega Ages.
Yeah, Sega
collection
Ages.
things. That's I think.
Yeah, I feel like that was... Part of me feels that was Sega getting tired of waiting for a Virtual Console-like thing to release so they could put their games on there. So they're like, well, if Nintendo's not going to do it, let's just make our own thing.
Yeah. I always feel like Sega, anytime a new console is like released, they're like, all right, when can we release Sonic 1, 2, and 3 and Knuckles on it? Like, they're just like sitting waiting. So we're gonna port that again. So I'm kidding. Nintendo's just as bad. Like on the how many consoles you can get Super Mario Bros. 3, for example. But
Hey, if people
that's the
request
thing
it,
is,
I
like,
don't think it's a bad thing.
well, that's the thing is like it sells, it makes the money, so sure.
Exactly.
Like, people like those games. I think Nintendo should just get on with it and maybe do that with a Zelda collector's pack. That's all I'm saying. So,
Joey said
so,
Sega
like,
didn't have their games on the Wii Virtual Console, so I don't think they were waiting for Switch
oh,
Virtual Console.
did they not?
I could have sworn
think-
you could download and play like the original Sega Sonic
I thought you
games.
could too. But maybe I'm misremembering. But
Yeah.
oh my goodness, the Zelda
Someone
collector says,
correct us on that.
"Oh, the Zelda collector's ages is Sega spelled backwards. Mine equals below." And whoa, palindrome.
Yeah.
I was talking about that last night with Chube, palindromes, and I couldn't remember what the actual term was. I'm really glad I remembered just now.
Yeah. When you went out for your drinks last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the people that are wondering, Daniel is the reason that Chiblima is not on the podcast today.
I poisoned her.
Oh.
Technically.
Yeah. So
Alcohol is poison.
we went out. We had a fun night. Yeah, we went, hung out, had drinks. Then we came back here and played a bunch of video games. And she kicked my butt in Dr. Mario, which I'm apparently very bad at. Yeah, because she got a new job at my job. So.
Okay, so back. We did get off on some tangents. Back to the original topic. The game that I'm looking forward to, since we have no one has mentioned Metroid Prime, so I'm going to carry on with tradition and not mention Metroid Prime and go with
kind of mentioned it.
Pokemon. Because we see
there is a new one supposed to come out.
Yeah, so
That is true.
it's basically using the same style as the 3DS Pokemon, like Sun and Moon and Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon, whatever. So it's basically like taking that, putting it on the Switch, and almost as if you're running it in an emulator. That's basically how it looks, but the gameplay's changed. But I'm hoping that the art style or the way that the game looks will change in the next generation. Like when we seen X and Y, which was on the 3DS, and even though it was on the 3DS, because usually you only have one style of Pokemon game for, not counting like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and stuff, but traditional Pokemon games. Like all of the Game Boy games look the same, all of the GBA games look the same, the DS games look the same. But then whenever the 3DS came, we had X and Y that looked one way, and then Sun and Moon came out, and although they were on the same console, they looked a lot better. So a lot of people think that continuing with the usual Pokemon tradition, that the actual next generation of Pokemon games will look the same as it did in Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, because usually the graphics don't really change. But I'm hoping we will get another change in graphic style akin to X and Y on the 3DS moving up to Sun and Moon on the 3DS.
I don't think Pokemon Let's Go's art style is all that different from Sun and Moon.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not all too different, but it definitely looks better. Like it looks cleaner,
like
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying. Is like it looks like it's basically, if you had a screenshot of it and a screenshot of Sun and Moon on an emulator, they would almost look the same. But anyways, I'm excited because I'm hoping there will be. Maybe I'm just hoping for like the fan Pokemon game that everyone wants, where it's like a bunch of like almost the MMO style Pokemon game that fans want, but not necessarily like an MMO, but just like if you are loaded into your whatever the town's going to be called, and then there's like maybe 5 or 6 other people that are running around in that little world with you. That way, if you want to, like if I want to play with Daniel, maybe I could. Maybe we could load into the same world, because right now they have it so that 2 people can play on Let's Go, but it's not online multiplayer. It's
it's
local.
like couch co-op.
Yeah.
So what if that is Nintendo like testing the water for the actual next Pokemon game, being like, I don't know, but that's just my hopes for that. So that's the announced game that I'm looking forward to, and the unannounced would be Ocarina of Time HD, because I would have sworn Nintendo was going to do it this year for the 20th anniversary. They did not. It could still be a surprise release, possibly, because it's Ocarina of Time HD is something that Nintendo could just announce one day and be like, okay, it's coming to eShop next month or next week, and
maybe they'll save it for the 25th anniversary.
But it's like
Maybe.
it's one of the few games that I think they could just release without having to promote, because everyone already knows whether or not if they want it. So they wouldn't have to spend time telling people what it is like they did.
They
with
could
Breath
put
of the
like
Wild.
one like ad out for it, or just like tweet it one time and then do nothing else, and the fans, like, we would do the rest for them. Like we would advertise it way more. So yeah, it's because even though like we got all these different versions of the game, like we'd still buy it again. So
Yeah. So we can play it on our Switch.
Yep.
even though we can already play it on our N64 and GameCube and Wii and 3DS, right? Yeah.
But we will.
A curious username, gamer porn in the chat says Majora's Mask
Gamer
HD.
Pawn.
Gamer Pawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
You added the R.
All right, my bad.
Jesse just needs glasses is all.
Yeah. Majora's Mask HD. I think if Ocarina of Time HD ever did release, it would be expected within the next 2 years that Majora's Mask would come, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
All right, I think we can move to the first of the... Technically, all of these were topics of discussions.
The first third topic.
Yeah, the first ever episode 55. No, okay, so since you are new on the podcast, what we used to do is we would have our scripted Zelda theory videos that we would do. And then we would, on the podcast, sometimes we would discuss, like have a discussion of what our favorite theories were. And then some people suggested, like, hey, there's this website that put together their list. Why don't you go and discuss it? So we would do our own discussion review of the list that they would put together on whether we liked the theory that they had or disliked it, or if it was stupid, if it was awesome. And from that, because we did theories so much, we ended up doing other topics or other interesting lists that people had, like old Zelda rumors that turned out to be true or turned out to be stupid, whatever. So we have these two that we're going to be doing. And because there are so many on the list, what we're going to do is we're just similar to what we just did. We're each going to go through and just pick one or two on this list and talk about the ones that we would like. So if you will open up the first one that says things in Zelda you only notice as an adult, that's the first list that we're going to be discussing. So you just look through this. I
already found mine.
Yeah. So I'll do an intro for it because it'll be uploaded as its own video. And while I do the intro, everyone goes through and pick the one that they want to talk about, and when we get to you, you'll just read whatever the title of it is, read what they wrote, and then give your thoughts on it, and then the rest of us will talk about it, and then we'll move to the next person. So kind of the same thing that we did, except this time you're reading and giving your thoughts instead of just telling us what you think.
Can I ask real fast? I'm so sorry. Can I get a link to that? Or where can I find that?
The Discord that you're a part of.
If you go to the Discord chat
gotcha.
there's a link to the Google Doc.
Yeah, I have that open. Where can I find it in the Google Doc?
So if you scroll down, you'll see on the second page, it says topic of discussion.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Things in Zelda you only notice as an adult.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And then there's the second one underneath it.
Cool. Thank you. Sorry about that.
It's cool. So, everyone ready?
Yeah.
Illy's camera kind of froze there for a second.
Or she's just really good at sitting still.
Do you have a Pikachu on your bed?
Do I? I have a Pikachu pencil case.
Oh.
Nice.
Cool.
I have a little Pokédex phone case. Yeah.
I have a Goku. Does that count?
Hey there. You have a Goku.
I have a Makar back there. But
it has yellow hair like a Pikachu.
I don't have anything.
And they both...
No, you have nothing, Daniel. Not even like a single amiibo or nothing.
See, it was funny when we were talking about games that we wanted. Joey in the comments was like, "I want Daniel's room.
I want his amiibo collection.
Give me the poster, the Hylian shield, all the amiibo,
everything,
the $1,000 worth of amiibo."
It's funny. Last night when Chub and I were hanging out, and she was like poking through all this stuff, and she's like, "Oh, it's funny to see it like IRL, like she's like, I get to actually see the fabled amiibo collection in person." I was like, okay.
And the scary
that's what I'm going
mask
for now.
Hanging behind you.
It's still watching me. It's really funny when the lamp is on because the eye holes and the mouth hole just shine light out. It's very creepy. I love it.
Well, it goes along with the creepy video we made at E3 though.
Yes. It's a masterpiece of a video.
We have to do a sequel to it.
We do.
For next year when we all go and hang out.
I'm already getting E3 2019 emails. I'm like, oh my god. Yeah. I can't afford this yet.
All right, I think we're ready to begin.
Yes, right. Let's.
Everyone has it open?
Yeah.
I've already picked my stuff.
All right.
Oh.
What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse as all of you may know me. Today we have a special guest with us for the very first time, Maya.
Hi.
Which is really cool. My little brother's best friend is a girl named Maya. So every time I think of Maya, I think about that. Anyways, we also have returning Ilya and Daniel and me. I guess I'm returning too. I don't know. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about a list on svg.com. Things in Zelda you only notice as an adult. So we're going to go through this and kind of just give our thoughts on some of the stuff that they put together and whether we like it, dislike it. It's something a little bit different than the typical theory or rumor list that we go through. So I thought it might be interesting. So, Ilya, starting us off this time. Do you have one picked out?
Yes. The one I picked is Hyrule's economy makes no sense. I still don't understand American economy to this day. So I still don't get it, right? So Mario, it says Mario had his coins and Simon Belmont had money bags that were improbably hidden inside candlesticks. But the Zelda franchise was one of the first major video game franchises to introduce a fully functional economy. From the very first game, the shiny, irresistibly collectible rupees weren't just there for bonus points. You could use them to buy weapons and power-ups. But nobody at Nintendo ever bothered to sit down and make the economy make sense. It's pretty weird that most Hylians keep their money in a ceramic pot that they leave unattended outside their houses, but on one level, that's easy to explain. Considering how often an evil army rolls through Hyrule, it's not likely a bank would offer a whole lot of protection anyway. If, however, a heavily armed child in a green miniskirt rolls up into our homes, shattered those jars by throwing them against the wall, scooped up the change and left, we'll probably be a little upset about it. Not so for the people of Hyrule, who take this little bit of grand larceny in stride. Maybe they're comforted by the fact that you can find rupees pretty much everywhere. They even pop out of the ground when you cut grass. And it's even weirder than the whole ceramic bank situation. A currency so common that you can find a handful of them in the yard every time you go outside makes them effectively worthless. Forget about Ganon. The real danger to Hyrule is that they're about 3 weeks away from complete economic collapse.
Oof.
This is one of those things that you just kind of have to be like, I'm not going to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to think about how this works because it clearly doesn't.
I'm already thinking in my head, though, because, like, counterpoint. Well, one, there are banks. We've seen it in at least Majora's Mask. They have a bank. And two, it explains that the reason rupees are, like, hidden in places are because the Minish hide them there for children.
That is true.
So, I mean, there's just an abundance of them. It totally is a broken economy, but some of the things have a weird, if not like kind of shoehorned in explanation, if nothing else, but still an explanation.
Yeah.
But still, there is a lot of that whole just going in and doing a lot of property damage. So I hope there's a Hylian insurance company.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one thing that I think of is when Skyward Sword came out, there was an interview with Alanuma where he said that in previous Zelda games there's never been a real focus on like rupees or anything, so he wanted to give like spending money a purpose, or spending rupees, he wanted to give the rupees a purpose in Skyward Sword, which you can pay to upgrade your items and stuff like that. And the rupees in that game, especially at the beginning, are definitely not as easy to come across as in other games.
Yeah.
That's funny as I don't know if you guys have been watching. I've been streaming Zelda 1 on Twitch on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And that's one of the struggles. I keep having to grind for rupees because it's hard to get enough rupees to buy anything that you need. And then I feel bad because I'm like, sorry, this is not interesting to watch, guys. I'm just going around killing Octoroks trying to get money, but
yeah,
the struggle.
Yeah, it's hard to get rupees in that game. Pretty much just that game, though.
Just that one. And,
just that one.
Ocarina of Time I always, after I found out about it, I always liked running up the chain on the bridge and then jumping off to get the rupees. So I would always do that, and then like Majora's Mask has like giant rupees hidden around, like the silver rupee in the chest for like 100. Anyways, the second thing with Breath of the Wild, they carried on from giving rupees a purpose in Skyward Sword, or trying to make it seem like they had a purpose. In Breath of the Wild, they made it so that you almost never find them in random places like you do the other game. You have to like sell stuff or like dig for ore or like diamonds and stuff to sell them, and that's mostly how you come across rupees in that game. You can't like...
I mean, it's... Jesse, sorry, I'm just gonna step away. Apparently someone's knocking on my door.
It's me.
I don't know who the hell wants to visit me right now, but...
It's me and
but carry on, okay?
Yes. I just imagine it's... did you guys see... And again, getting off topic, but there was, whenever the Nintendo Wii came out, there was the commercial with Miyamoto and Iwata where they would knock on the door and hold out the Nintendo Wii and be like, "We would like to play."
Yeah, I've seen memes on it.
Yeah. It's just like one of those things that's like, if they really did that,
I'd be like, "Yeah, come in."
Yeah.
I'd faint.
Anyways, Maya, do you have yours picked out?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. So, I was thinking of the Master Sword is a tool of the oppressor. And that's it's a nice picture of Ganondorf there. Says, to say that the Zelda games portray Link as a hero is understating things by a pretty wide margin. He's not just a hero, he's the hero. The hero of Hyrule, the hero of time, the hero of legend, and so on. If you got a noun, he's the hero of it. But is he really? Most of that heroic reputation comes from the way that he defeats Ganondorf and saves Princess Zelda, which is all the explanation you need if you're playing the games as a kid. When you grow up and read, say, any history book ever, you hopefully realize that propping up an absolute monarchy isn't the best course of action. At best, Link's maintaining the status quo, and as we can see from the games, that includes a kingdom where sentient non-human creatures like the Zora and Gorons are segregated, maybe even confined to their own kingdoms. Ganondorf, on the other hand, that dude was born to a tribe of people who wandered the desert while Hylians lived fat on lush farmland of Hyrule, who clawed his way up from nothing, seized a third of the all-powerful magical force that had been kept hidden from the common man by the orders of the elite, and tried to overthrow a supposedly benevolent dictatorship. Face it, folks, that's basically Luke Skywalker, right down to the desert. And I was like, oh my god, I just realized that now! Like, oh my god, like, that's insane. Like, I never had even thought about, like, other than Breath of the Wild, I never had even thought about Gorons are just at, you know, Death Mountain, or you know, Zoras are just at the Zora domain. You know, there wasn't really a lot of anybody else anywhere. You might see, like, a random Goron, right, chilling, lifting a rock in Ocarina of Time, right? But other than that, you never see them around each other. You never see them doing anything with each other, right? So it's like reading that for the first time and thinking, wow, yeah, that's kind of a messed up little situation that they live in there. That's not too great.
Was it Miyamoto?
Yeah, he wanted.
They came with a 15-year-old Nintendo Wii and was like, we would like to play.
Yeah, and then that was just like a Trojan horse. 'Cause then they came in, and then they basically pushed me against the wall, and they said, like, stop telling everyone all this stuff. Stop giving them information. And I'm like, why, Miyamoto? Why don't you want me to talk about Nintendo? Why do you want me to talk about you know, Zelda stuff and like what could be happening? And he goes, we haven't made these announcements yet. It's a secret to everybody. And then they left. So they just packed up and left. And I'm like, wait, I thought you wanted to play Wii Sports. So they took the Wii with them, and they took one of my Wii remotes. They're like, I'm taking this. So
you can have the batteries.
So rude.
They left a motion control though. It's really weird.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel very upset about that whole interaction.
Sorry you had to go through that.
Maybe they were just upset that the one person who actually worked for Nintendo was off the podcast.
Oof.
Today.
Well, maybe that's why. Maybe they showed up at her door first.
Yeah. It's like
she's not really sick. They just got threatened.
That is the story. No, they showed up, seen she was sick. She blamed it on you. So all right, I'm glad we built this story, this completely true story.
Oh my gosh.
100% completely true story that actually happened.
Non-fiction.
Don't question it. All right, so we're talking about the Master Sword being the oppressor.
No,
the weapon of the oppressor. So
to be fair to the whole segregated races thing, in
Yeah.
that case,
that one's kind of
Gorons
legit.
probably can't live in the water, except that one at the bottom in Twilight Princess would even. And Zoras probably wouldn't do well on Death Mount.
True enough. But like, you
To
think
be
that
fair
they,
to that.
you think that they would like go to, I don't know, like the Hyrule Field or something, and have like a party each year or something, celebrate their friendships with each other. But no, they don't know each other. They're not allowed to hang out apparently in that world.
So there are some, like, in Breath of the Wild, like, if you go to Zora's Domain, there is, like, a Goron there in the shop. And
I said you were gone, answering Miyamoto and everything, but I was saying
sorry.
in every game except for Breath of the Wild, there was basically, it's pretty, I'd never thought about it before, but it's pretty actually segregated. Like, you can find, like, a random Goron or Zora out in the wild, like, every once in a while, but it's not, like, you're interacting with each other like the heroes from Breath of the Wild,
Yeah.
No, it's totally true.
If the Zora were really evil, because apparently all of like the major water source in Hyrule comes from the Zora, so they could just like hog all of the water and not let everyone would thirst.
Yeah, everyone would just die of dehydration.
So there.
Well, what happened in Ocarina of Time when Link was a grown-up? The river, the Hylian lake was dried up, right? They were hogging all the water. Nobody was allowed to get all the water anymore. I'm telling you.
That's some tension.
So there's a video that I wrote the script for, but I haven't finished like the actual video portion of it. But it was an idea that I had of like 5 major problems in Zelda games that could easily be solved, and one of them was like, in Wind Waker, Ganondorf gives his excuse for trying to take over everything. And he basically said that like they were all forced to live in the desert and it was really hot and everything. And my thought was someone could have just taught them the Song of Storms and they would all be fine.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that.
Also, like, Ganondorf says that's his motivation, but when he takes over Hyrule, he doesn't bring the Gerudo with him. They still live in the desert in Ocarina of Time.
Point.
Like he's like, yeah, no, my people were oppressed. I want to go and, give them a better life in the green fields of Hyrule. And then he takes over, and he's like, okay, just gonna wreck some stuff, and they're all still there in the desert.
That was just like his. That was just like his. Yeah, I was just about to say, like a politician. That was just his line. That's what he said.
Grab your sympathy before he, assaults 2 10-year-old children.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
that scene in Wind Waker was always creepy when Zelda's like in the bed and he's like talking about his whole history. I'm like, the older I get, the creepier it is. I don't like it. Yeah. Whoa, that's a lot of emojis.
So the 2 more things that I have to say about this is, one, I think Majora's Mask was the first one where we see different races kind of living in different areas. Like, not so much, but like we know that the Zora band sometimes go to the milk bar to play. We know that there is the one Goron who's like trying to bust the rock to the ranch. There's the other Goron who like...
Oh, no, that's not a Goron. The one at the ranch? At Romani Ranch?
Oh, no, you have to take
Hylian.
it there. But
you gotta be the Goron.
The thought is it would take a Goron to carry the bomb keg to that spot. And there's also the Goron who like wanders into West Clocktown? East Clocktown.
Yeah. The one who has your name.
Yeah. So and then you just kind of steal his reservation. So like it gives the idea that maybe some of the races do wander around, but that's Termina, not Hyrule.
True.
Yeah.
So just realized then that means there are 2 Gorons named after Link, or with the same name as Link.
Yeah.
One named after him, but one that just coincidentally has the same name.
Yeah.
So there's 3 Links.
Twilight Princess expands on it a bit more because there is the Goron. I always think of the Goron in Hyrule Castle Town. That's like you go into the building and you can go up and like look out the window and there's the Goron standing there.
But there's a few of them around Castle Town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Breath of the Wild's the game that really pushes diversity around the kingdom.
I mean, even Terrytown, where it like includes basically all things, right? It's
and
like
the
all
music
species.
changes as you bring more people in.
Yeah.
More creatures in.
And the
United.
I'm gonna say in my head canon, the main reason for this is like the Zora kind of eat the same thing as humans, but the Gorons definitely don't. Because they're eating like
Eat rocks.
they're eating like rock steaks or whatever it's called, savory rocks. So when actually there was a meme or something that I was watching that's like, why were the Gorons going to die of starvation if they couldn't get into Dodongo's cavern because of it being blocked off by rocks when there's rocks everywhere? And at the bottom of the meme, it was like, well, when you eat a salad, you don't just cut your grass.
Yeah.
So
Wait, you don't?
Yeah.
You don't just eat grass off the ground.
Yeah, it's like it's special grass. So like they have to
I've been
eat
doing things
special
wrong.
rocks. But it makes sense that like in Hyrule Castle Town, they're mostly going to have the food for the humans, whereas like you're not going to go to Goron City if you're a Hylian to get food. Because it's like,
true.
Here's a rock and more rock. So
Well, it'd just be rude to not eat it at that point. I mean, you already.
yeah.
Well, doesn't Daruk talk about giving a rock, like sirloin rock or something, to Link 100 years in the past, and Link's like, ugh, trying so hard to figure out how to eat it. I think that's like in his diary in Champion's Ballad.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh,
I don't think
you're
I've
right.
ever seen it. That's really cool.
Yeah. And there's the one side
But did he
quest
do it?
where you have to bring the Goron food that like energizes the person to finish working.
He digs up a shrine for you.
Yeah. All right, Ilya, do you have your thing picked out?
I already did mine.
Oh, what? Oh yeah, you were first.
Mine
Daniel.
was the economy.
Daniel.
Okay, which one's just to recap so I don't choose the same one
Oppression.
that everyone else said?
Economy?
Oppression, the
Oppression.
economy.
So the second thing I wanted to talk about, it
Great
says Ganondorf being like Luke Skywalker and like being born or whatever and like oppressed and then he rises to the top or whatever. But he was born a king. So
Yeah.
That's true.
That's the other thing that I wanted to mention is like he's born into royalty and then his parents are magical. So if he wanted something, they could just be like, okay, well, like if he's like, hey, I want to go to Lake Hylia today, they could just now you're.
And that's the thing too, is like, sure, they lived in the desert, right? And he complains in Wind Waker, during the day the desert was too hot, during the nighttime the desert was too cold. Either way, like it was deadly. But the Twin Rova, literally, their powers, one can generate heat, the other one can generate ice. So it's like.
Well, maybe it's because they knew they'd be
easily-
raising Ganon in the desert. Gosh.
But they could easily have improved the quality of life. That's all I'm saying.
That's
Like,
true.
The Ice House and Breath of the Wild is a really good idea.
yeah, see, it's-
Well, I really like in Breath of the Wild, like the Gerudo village like looks amazing, right? Like it looks like somewhere I'd want to live there. Like I love the water running over all the houses. Like
the
it looks really cool.
aqueducts and everything.
Exactly, like it's awesome, right? But then you think about Gerudo from Ocarina of Time, where you're just going into like building after building, trying to what's that? You're like trying to like get people out of prison or something like that. There's like jail cells and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then when I think about that, I'm like, man, no wonder Ganondorf hates Link. Like he had to be raised like all these women are crazy. Like I don't want to have to deal with that either. So I think that when you're born like one out of a billion males out of females, right? And you're praised as a god, even if you're living in a tent, right? That's going to be like a really good situation, but at the same time, it's not like that's the best place to be living in. It makes sense that he would want more from that situation, you know? Plus he was like, oh, I'm the chosen one. I'm the one male to exist ever. Well, sort of, but like, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's funny, like, as a side note, that difference in the Gerudo's, like, fortress in Ocarina of Time versus Gerudo Town in Breath of the Wild, and you see how, like, almost like how far they've come as a culture. I don't know, like, there's a lot of development there like that. I love that. Seeing, like, that, the way they've improved their situation, and they go from, like, what is essentially considered, like, just a band of thieves to, like, a proper, or they have the whole culture set up in their own town and everything. It's quaint. I like it, so.
Right. Daniel, do you have yours picked out?
Yes, right. So, there was one that I thought about doing, and then it didn't seem rated E for everyone to me, so.
I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Go ahead and do the Great Fairy one.
Oh, okay. Well, then I can't do the other one.
That was the one that you picked
out. Okay. Well, I'll just give a quick shout out. The other one I was gonna do was about Death Mountain's name, but sure, if you want. But this one is the Great Fairies are absolutely fetish material.
Kids, mute the video until Daniel taps his head.
Yes. So it reads, the Zelda games have always been a little weird about the Great Fairies, going all the way back to the angular, mostly naked version that showed up in Ocarina of Time
did leave.
With Breath of the Wild. Oh, poor child.
E for everyone.
E for everyone.
Except Hylian.
Yeah.
It's not the sort of thing you'd notice as a kid, and in fact, the sight of Link recoiling from the over-the-top smooches of a giant woman who lives inside a huge flower probably seemed like hilarious slapstick more than anything else. If, however, you're playing that game as an adult whose time on the internet has taught you sorts of terrible things that you didn't necessarily want to know, you know exactly what's going on. Those fairies aren't there for upgrades. They're absolutely there to satisfy someone's not-so-secret fantasies. Giantess fetishes. The giggles and moaning, Link's fruitless struggle against their inescapable but loving hugs, and the fact that they leave him spent and exhausted at the end of the transaction, yeah, that's 100% a sex thing. And the way he gets sucked under the surface of a toothy pond, there's even a little bit of a vor. I've actually never heard that term before. Vor.
Don't just move on. Just move
okay. Link even pays handsomely for experience. Not that we're judging. You have to respect the hustle of getting a giant woman kink to be such a prominent part of one of the biggest games of all time. And if nothing else, it adds a whole new selling point for a very specific audience. As a side note, it reminds me when they were doing interviews for like when they were reporting or doing Twilight Princess HD, and Aonuma made the remark about Telma being a strong character, and then he like kind of blushedly was like, "I would enjoy being scolded by a woman like that," and I'm like, Aonuma, like, put it away, man.
No.
Like,
put it away.
Yeah. So that's in the chat, Zelda Collector says, "Death by Snoo Snoo." That's a Futurama reference.
Oh my god.
Yeah, pretty much Death by Snoo.
That also, so Aonuma's comment reminds me of an interview. I want to say this was actually on a Nintendo Direct a long time ago, which is why it stuck out so much to me. But it was Platinum Games, the people that made Bayonetta. So,
yes, that's Platinum.
Yeah, they were talking. It was an interview, like a behind-the-scenes development thing. They did the same thing with Zombie U when it came to the Wii U. So it was all of the the art director, the graphic designers, the gameplay people, everyone. And one of them, I think it was the person who was actually in charge of the game, who was also an artist on the game. And they had asked him what his favorite part was. And he looked at the screen behind him, and it was just a close-up of Bayonetta's tight clothing,
Oh.
I guess. And he was like, it's my job to like make sure everything is detailed properly, and it's a really good job. So like, yeah. It was
Game
not
developers are horny.
it was not subtle at all.
Yeah.
That's what I'm.
And that's like
Oh.
that's bigger, like literally massive women, like kind of like how the great fairies are in Breath of the Wild are kind of like a big thing in Japan too, specifically. Like that's like an actual thing. And so as soon as I saw what the great fairies were looking like in Breath of the Wild, I was like, they did that on purpose. That's fan service right there if I've ever seen it.
Yep.
Oof.
I mean, I find them less disturbing than the N64 Great Fairies.
Oh, me too.
Yes,
but
actually
it's just,
though.
By
like,
a lot.
less disturbing and less annoying, but yeah, like it's definitely like a really weird sex thing, in general.
Not when you're a kid
Yep.
though. When you're a kid, you're just like, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was playing Breath of the Wild, and my son, 5, he saw a great fairy, and he's like, "Oh, she looks very beautiful," and he kind of just moved on, and I was like, "Oh, that's very sweet," and I was like, I don't know now.
You just
What-
might have awakened
like,
something in your kid that he might not realize.
That's the thing. I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna like be a thing now, or
Well,
like,
even like
he's
the
doing it
Twilight
from a very
Princess
innocent-
fairies, like they're calm,
Mhm.
but they're topless.
completely nude.
Mhm.
I mean, they
Yeah.
have their hair really long, but I'm just like, what?
I
The
don't
only
know, like-
time the only time the Great Fairies were like not creepy was Wind Waker, except the main Great Fairy is a
Was
little girl with a
creepy.
doll.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's
super
creepy.
Which was its own kind of creepy.
Yeah.
The 2D
Different kind of
games had interesting fairies.
They were very,
They
very
looked
like,
Oh, okay,
actual
yeah.
fairies.
Those were
Yeah.
actual like fairies.
like the old school games. Like the fairies are
Tinkerbell.
very vanilla design in comparison to what Zelda's been going for lately.
Yeah.
So
Hyrule
Again, rated E
Warriors-
for everyone.
Yeah. I remember when I first seen the Hyrule
Oh.
Warriors Great Fairies, it was just like the
It's just the
Ocarina of
N64
Time,
ones,
but
but
in
up-res.
HD. Yeah, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
they made them more detailed. Sure.
and less jagged, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, still super uncomfortable.
All right.
Just-
Well, our final thing on this list. Couldn't we call it Nice Flowers Mountain instead? While Hyrule has taken many forms over the years, from the pastoral kingdom of Ocarina of Time, I hope that's how you pronounce that word, to the broken wasteland of Breath of the Wild, but there's one piece of the landscape that remains consistent. Death Mountain, the ominous volcano that looms over Hyrule with a ring of clouds around its peak. It's intimidating, foreboding, threatening, and not that bad, actually. Don't get it wrong, it's not exactly pleasant. At the very least, it's usually an active volcano, and it's often populated with stronger enemies. But you'll only find the end of the game level bad guys were in the first Legend of Zelda. In most other games, it's just a place you pass through on the way to a more dangerous territory. More often than not, you'll find friendly allies there in the form of the Gorons. Either way, Death Mountain seems like a pretty dramatic name, but we suppose Unpleasant Mountain wouldn't look great on a map. So my thoughts on this is it is purposefully named. That way. So when I think of the landscape of Hyrule, I always think of like the Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess style map, to where it's Kakariko Village and then Death Mountain. So with Kakariko Village being one of the more populated places, to keep the kids from going up to Death Mountain, like they even have the guard there with the gate that you need like permission from the royal family to go there. So I think it's just a way to be like, if they called it, like the title of that was, couldn't we call it Nice Flowers Mountain? I think that would be like, oh, well, now there's kids going up there getting squashed by all of the falling rocks from the volcano.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, it is dangerous. Like, even the earlier versions of Death Mountain, A Link to the Past, there's like falling rocks and stuff. I don't think there's ever any lava in it, but yeah, there's Tektites, there's falling rocks. There's
Goron's rolling down the hill, gonna hit you.
Like it is not as pleasant a place as the article makes it out to be. It is actually meant to be a pretty dangerous place to go to,
especially
aptly named.
Breath of the Wild,
where your clothes will catch on fire just being there,
or flying over lava like with a lighter, and if you're not the clunky, the suit, you're immediately catch fire and die. It's like, oh, okay.
But your paraglider's fine. It's made of wood and cloth, but it won't catch on fire.
Well, it was
there's absolutely no loopholes. Ooh, true.
So it could be like magical. But yeah, I think the other ones were interesting. I don't think this one's interesting because I think it's just wrong. Like they were just trying to be like, okay, well, why does it have death in the name? But it's purposefully named. Like there's always, like there's dragons. It's an active volcano. There's falling rocks. They have a
you catch on fire if you walk in there too long.
Yeah.
And even sure the Gorons live there and they're friendly, but like they are rock people. They can survive that. They can walk in lava and be okay.
Yeah. Tim Mullins in the chat said calling it Death Mountain makes total sense for defense too. It's like if the Gorons were the ones who named it Death Mountain at the beginning, they probably don't want a lot of people coming up there trying to, do you want to go to a place called Death Mountain? Probably not.
Another thing is bombs grow there.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Seriously.
Bombs are a plant that grow there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel like I always assumed that Hylian's named it there just because it was like it's an active volcano. There's other mountains with other names, which is like the one huge, enormous active volcano, and probably even without realizing the Gorons were there, they just were like, "Oh, okay, people die here a lot." It seems like Death Mountain, because I think before it was before like Hyrule was like proper established. My personal headcanon, not official. I think it was widely accepted though that Elden Volcano was originally what it was called, or that Elden Volcano is Death Mountain.
That was just named after the god.
But that's the thing. It was just like, okay, that's what it's called now.
And then people started dying.
People started dying there. Yeah, it obviously earned a reputation to be called Death Mountain after some time. Yeah. So who knows? But methed up, guys.
Hurry.
Someone the Zelda collector, super happy fun mountain.
Super happy rainbow.
Super happy fun rainbow. Time.
Yes, that sounds like a great place to go. Fun mountain.
And immediately combust into flames.
Yes.
Unless your stamina reel runs out.
So much fun.
Oh, there you go.
Let's see if we can't get through this next one a little bit faster.
For sure.
Yes, I already have my one picked for this one too.
Same.
Oh, I need to do that. Okay, I got it. Just because it's funny. So
147.
A new intro. Old Jessup.
Yeah, I'm putting the timestamps so it's easier to edit.
Timestamps.
Good. Damn that time.
Right. Not all of these are E for everyone either. Just gonna say that now.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Everybody's ready?
See.
Yup.
Do you want to do this one, Daniel? Do you want to do the intro?
Okay. So
I always so for the people that are watching that may not know, every time I go to do an intro, I get the feeling that I need to yawn. But it never happens, and I'm afraid if I start, I'll have to start over because I yawn. So go ahead, Daniel. Are you gonna yawn? Do you have to yawn? Is that what's going on?
If we keep talking about yawning, I'm gonna have to. It's gonna happen. Okay, I'm good. What's up, everybody?
We're laughing with you.
That's the intro.
Right, there you go.
Words.
Oh no. All right, I'll just try this again. What's up, everybody? I am Daniel, but you probably know me as the Burgerson, and welcome to the Hylian Gamescast. I'm joined with the guy who owns this channel called Game Over Jesse. He's there for you guys watching, and also Ilya Rose below me for them watching, and Maya, our special guest, on this side of me. Yes, I'm just double checking YouTube. On this side of me. And we're going to be talking about hidden jokes in Breath of the Wild. Not all these are like hidden adult jokes or whatever, like kind of our last topic. Just like those little side details that someone snuck in there, and it's really easy to overlook, but they're hilarious. So, I guess, Maya, since you're our guest, why don't you kick us off here? Take us away.
Good. That way nobody can take mine. Alright. So, I chose one. It's from a scene in Breath of the Wild where you're talking to one of the Gerudo women, and it looks like she's teaching a class. She says, "Oh, are you interested in taking my class, Vo and you? I'm a shy." And then Risa, one of her students, said, "I would grab his hand, twist his wrist until he agreed to marry me." And then Ashai is like, "Risa, a sweet sentiment, but also basically kidnapping. Risa, let's talk after class." It's like, okay. Like, what are they teaching these girls, okay? This is not what I was ever taught when it comes to, hey, Maya, if you ever meet a boy that you like, this is what you want to do. No, if this... I'm afraid to hear what they say about the birds and the bees if this is what she says over seeing a guy that she likes, you know? I just thought that was really funny.
That whole scene is really funny. There's a bunch of things that she keeps saying, and she's like, "No, you could get arrested. No, that's wrong. That's kidnapping. Stop it."
The entire Gerudo village in Breath of the Wild is fascinating. It's one of my favorite places to go, and I don't even like the desert, but it's one of my favorite places, and it's just so good.
That's true, because like in almost every game, if there's like a desert area, I always find it like the most mundane area in the game. Like I'm always like so disinterested in it. And in Breath of the Wild, they totally flip that. Like going into Gerudo Town is like it's probably the best and most fleshed out of the different towns in the game.
Yeah. And, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm reading through some of these, and like some of them are really funny.
He's like, not yours, but everything else was really, really great.
No, it was great. It's just some of these are funny because like the jokes are based around actual comedy, but then there's some that are funny because they're just so stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the one I picked is probably stupid comedy.
All right.
Well,
that's it. I got nothing. I was just.
With the Gerudo, there is the weird thing that everyone debates on whether or not it's like a sex scene in the thing, to where like you go in and the Gerudo girl like kills you, and there's like the noises and it like fades to black, and then.
I thought you were just getting a massage. It's like a spa treatment. Like the spa thing is like.
Totally.
I thought she was just kicking your butt and getting you out of the town. I thought that was the whole idea. Was that? Wait, are you talking about like when if you go in there as a dude, or
when you go into like
the sorry. I thought you were saying when they like stop you, like if you try to enter the town as you're like a guy, not dressed in the as a lady. Yeah. Okay. Got you.
A detail I just noticed looking at this picture on the board, like the chalkboard they've got. There's a little map of like the heart-shaped lake.
Yeah.
That's close to like Hateno Village or Lurelin Village, like in that area.
It's by Lurelin, yeah.
Yeah, and if you go there at that spot, you actually find a Gerudo who went there because she was like trying to. There's a little side quest there.
It's the easiest side
quest
ever.
It's like are they just sending Gerudo women, just sending them there, and they're like, go there. It's heart-shaped. You'll get married.
You'll get married.
They do.
You go there, you get married.
I mean, it works, I guess. We're seeing results.
In that case, it does.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty long way to go just to meet a guy, you know?
The whole,
if you go just to the bazaar, there's like a whole group of guys, and they're like, we want to go to Gerudo Town. They won't let us. It's like, you just got to go there, and there's like...
billion women.
Have your pick.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys there already, so... I'm not saying you should just settle for whatever guy shows up though, but
No.
yeah.
Kind of unrelated, but isn't the relationship that builds out of building Terrytown between like the main dude with like the mustache and the bowl cut and the Gerudo lady, isn't that like one of the best things in the game? Like I was like,
it's wholesome as hell.
It's so wholesome.
Funny.
It's so good. I was like, my heart can't take it.
It is one of the better relationships between two characters that you come across, because there are some that are just weird.
Like, oh, you mean like the Zora and the Hylian, and it's like a Zora child, and it's just like, I get that Zora have a longer lifespan, so like she is technically older than him, but
like
she is still a child.
It looks,
by Zora standards. So it's like, this is not okay. this
is weird.
This is too weird.
All right, Daniel, do you have your
mine's short and sweet and stupid. It's in Kakariko Village. If you Olkin's one of the Sheikah that live there.
Dang it, you took mine.
The one who I find it so funny. If you pull out a round, the spherical remote bombs next to him, he'll go, a blue pumpkin?
I didn't know that. I was like, what?
And in this screenshot, he looks so shocked. He's like,
for the people watching. Here it is.
Are you putting it up? You're putting it up on screen?
Yeah.
That just is hilarious. I've never done that.
I have to now, though.
I want to do it now. Yeah, like I want to just go and see people's reactions to it, because most people, they'll see a bomb and they'll be like, "Oh no!" Like, don't hurt, put that away. But no, just that a blue pumpkin. And it's
like, what else would you think it is if you've never seen like a remote bomb before? You know, like someone pulls out something like that, you don't know it's a bomb. It's like it's a blue pumpkin. What?
I just figured they were all like well versed with what the Sheikah stuff technology was, because all of them they see, they're like, hey, you have a Sheikah slate.
Yeah, right? You would think so.
Yeah, but then this one, they're just a blue pumpkin.
A blue pumpkin.
All right, Ilya, do you have yours?
I'm trying to find a new one.
Since some of these are short, I think we can go around and do like 2 each, maybe.
Okay.
Hold on, I just went through them all. I need to find. Some of them are not PG. Okay, I like this one. It's number 6. I think he's in Hateno Village, but he goes in somewhere, and this woman named Tamana is sweeping, and she goes, I guess, could you just go somewhere else, please? And then she says, please enjoy this apology egg.
She'll give you that egg. I've actually encountered this, and she'll just give you an egg. Well,
so random. I have never seen this.
You mean in real life, when someone apologizes to you, they don't immediately hand you an egg? What? Like
no.
Yeah, no, that's normal. That's what I do.
I really want eggs.
Constantly buying eggs.
The best
about. I'm Canadian. Do you know how much I apologize?
So
that's a lot of eggs.
When we were at the Airbnb in LA one morning, it was the nicest thing, one of the nicest things anyone's ever done. Actually, looking back on it, it was really bad for Rick, Daniel, and I, because it's like the one girl that was there. Well, there was different girls there on like different nights, but like the one girl who was staying there with us for that week, she was the one who was like cooking and cleaning the most. So it's like, looking back on it, it was bad, but at the time it seemed like a really nice gesture when she made like a really great egg sandwich, which was awesome.
Yeah, I thought
I'm
you were
gonna go make some food real fast. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna mention, like, speaking of apologies, when I like basically was standing and Gibbs basically walked into me, like we both weren't paying attention. He walked into me fully, and I immediately was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry," and he's like, Canadians. I'm like, it's true. It's so true.
And Gibbs, like, he has a very strong physical appearance as well. So it's like walking into a wall.
He's a wonderful man, but
he's a war hero.
Great.
He's a wonderful man.
He actually is. He's a veteran.
Yeah, he's a war hero.
Yeah, but yeah, no, just like he
fought for
in my
us,
day-to-day
not you,
life.
Daniel.
That's very normal. Is for people were very apologetic, and then like for him to just point it out, he's like Canadians. I'm like, oh, that is totally a stereotype, but it's true. So.
Well, have you ever like walked into like an inanimate object and went, "I'm sorry," and realized that was a backpack?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
I've done that.
All right.
I'm sorry. Give me 2 seconds here. I'm just gonna.
So
Now I'm sorry again.
the one that I had
Miyamoto's
picked out is number 10 on this list. You come into the random traveler, and it's obviously a Yiga, but he or she, I guess it changes, says, "Isn't Master Koga just so dreamy? I could stare at that poochy tummy of his all day long." And then you can answer Master Koga ? Or he's got a dumb belly. And if you say he's got a dumb belly, the traveler will reply a dumb belly and get mad, and then say, "You filth! You have no appreciation for true beauty. I'll take your life." So it's like,
Hey, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? It's like, maybe to her, a big round tummy is a beautiful thing, and that's okay. It's her opinion, you know?
yeah.
So how dare you insult her opinion by saying he's got a dumb belly?
It is.
He's a pathetic leader, though.
He really is.
I
Yeah.
was hoping the DLC boss would turn out to be, instead of just fighting the Ashika monk, you would have fought the real Yiga monk.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that would've been
I was thinking
cool.
it would have been like the true Yiga leader, where this guy obviously was not. Like, maybe he was a long time ago, but then
He kind of let himself go and
yeah. And it's like,
stayed home and played games on the internet all day.
yeah, and it's like you're hovering over a giant hole in the ground. That's not safe for you. Like, it's almost the opposite of the Ganondorf fight in Ocarina of Time, because you're the one that's like has to run away from the hole, where Ganondorf is on the only platform. So it's like the opposite of that. Anyways,
Whoa, I never thought of that. Yeah.
yeah.
I kind of get that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then like they both use magic to throw at you. Anyways,
I want there to be more to Koga's story. Like, I want to know more about Master Koga.
Yeah,
how did he get there? How did he not be good? Like, how could he raise such like a huge clan of these, you know, like assassins, and be like the little dork that he is, you know?
there needs to be a spin-off manga
Please.
for
Oh my
Master
God.
Koga.
Please.
The true adventures of Master Koga.
I need it.
Maya, do you have your next?
Yes. All right.
Okay.
It's actually the one after 10. It's 11.
This was the one that I was like, it's so dumb, but I like it.
It's so good. It's so good, isn't it? Okay. And honestly, it speaks to me on like a level like it's hard to like explain. Okay. So, it's Link, of course, it's a Breath of the Wild, so he goes basically walking up to a stable, and it looks like they're brothers. There's two very small children hanging out next to the horses. And one of the brothers, it looks like his name is Darton. Yeah, Darton. He says, "You're right." He's talking about Link, and he's like, "You're right. He's got eyes that just say, like, nothing in this world matters to me except horses." Bro, his head is just filled with horse stuff, right? And then his brother, Shibo, just, like, takes a look at Link, and he's like, "That's right, just look at those eyes right now in his head. It's all horses. Horses, horses, food, and horses, right?" And I just think that's so good, because, like, there's so many things that, like, you see online about Link just being stupid. And how many times have you tried doing something in Breath of the Wild or any Zelda game, and Link just, like, you're trying to move Link one way, and he does a completely different thing, and you're like, "No, Link, no, that's not, oh, like, I didn't mean, And, like, it was just kind of, like, I think I saw it as, like, a way of the game saying, we know sometimes stupid things happen in the game. Link can be seen as a pretty clueless dude sometimes, especially with all, like, you know, people talking to him, and then the surprised look on his face with basically everything, where he's just like, you know, like, he's always surprised about everything. It's like he's clueless. He's only thinking about horses, and I think that's so funny. I just think it's so good.
Yeah, technically, he may have a reason to be clueless in Breath of the Wild, where he wakes up with amnesia, so everyone he talks to, he's like, "What's this? Oh, this is a horse.
My
I know
one
what these
solace
are."
is food.
Food and horses.
Food and horses. They are not the same thing, though.
Yeah.
True.
No.
True.
Some people do eat horse meat. Not me though.
You can't
Yeah,
in
me
Buffalo,
neither.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I'm
can't.
also-
Yeah.
I don't eat any meat, but
I just eat chickens, pigs, and cows.
There you go.
Yes, I have my next one.
No fish?
Oh, I hate fish.
Me too.
I don't like fish either. No.
All right, Ilya, we're gonna hang out
It's too
later, okay?
I just hate fish.
Yeah,
so
like
much.
we just like Ilya the sequel happening here. It's
Ilya
like
the sequel.
it's-
Oh my god.
Ilya
I love it.
2.0.
We
No,
already
you're
have,
your own unique person.
We already have
Heck
new
yes.
We have new Ilya now.
No.
New McIntyre and sexy McIntyre.
There can be only one.
I'm the OG.
What is your,
Fine.
your next
Oh.
pick on this?
Yeah, I have my next one, which is actually the very next one, number 12.
Oh, hey.
When you walk by this woman, Toma, while it's raining, and she's on her horse, she says, "Here's the secret to keeping dry on a rainy day, and you can't tell, all caps, anyone. Simply don't go outside."
I didn't see this one. That's so good.
That's what I'm doing right now.
You
So-
can do that even on a sunny
In real
day.
life.
So there's a real life joke to this that kind of matches, where it's stating the obvious. Yesterday or the day before, when we were trying to play the Mario Kart thing, it was Tevi, Sexy Mac, and I. And Sexy Mac, he like we were talking about, I forgot what it was. It was something stupid, I think, and he was doing one of his voiceover impressions. And he's like, "Hey guys, did you know if you press the run button in Mario, you'll go faster?" And I'm like,
Wait, what?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't think that's what it's for.
And I was like,
Doesn't sound right.
that's so stupid. I have to post it on Twitter right now.
I love it.
But yeah, it's basically the same type of joke where it's just stating the obvious, like, "Hey, don't go outside."
Yeah.
All right.
It's like one of those things, like the best way to survive in a video game is by not dying.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, thank you. Thanks, I needed that.
Or when you lose something, they're like, "Well, it'll be in the last place you'll look." And I'm like, duh, because I'm not going to keep looking after I find it.
yeah.
Or people say, "Well, where did you see it last?"
Yeah.
I'm like, if I knew, then I wouldn't have lost it.
Right?
It's like they forgot if they haven't lost. It's like they've gone their whole life without losing anything, and they're like, they just don't understand it at all. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, but you saw it before, so
You have to know where it is.
I forgot."
Wait,
Oh.
I have a real life question. Because I was noticing you had the Zelda books behind you as well.
Yes.
What's the golden brown one?
that one?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That is the. Oh god,
That
hold on,
from
let
the
me take my
Master
headset
Edition?
off for a second. Hold on.
Like
Give me a second.
the limited
That is
edition
the-
version.
Now we can talk anything about her without her hearing.
Gosh, that's mean.
No, I'm just joshing. Oh, it's so pretty.
Oh god, that's opposite. The complete
Oh.
official guide, the deluxe edition for Breath of the Wild.
It's so
Also-
pretty.
Also,
Wow.
my favorite part of
It looks
the book,
giant.
it is massive. This thing is heavier than me.
Okay, I was
so-
wondering, like, are you really short, or is that?
Yeah, no, I am tiny.
Oh.
I'm 5'1", but still, I'm not.
So did you say 5'1"?
Yeah.
Not many
Oh
people
my
are shorter
word.
than
Did
I
you-
am. I'm only 5'3".
Also,
So-
autographed by
Oh.
my dudes, Aonuma and Fujibayashi. Hello?
I'm really glad
So-
you pronounced that as well as you did. I'm shocked
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Hey,
that's,
thank you. I practiced.
In our
I'm
there's-
just
in our
kidding.
upcoming video that we did voiceover for Jesse, there's some Japanese names in there, and it was all of
Oh.
us struggled. all
I
of
should have
us.
asked because it was like for Mega Man or something. So I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
It was
Oh,
like
I
in-
pronounced that
Inafune,
wrong. Oops.
and we're
Keiji
all just,
Inafune.
yeah. Oh,
I
my
was just
goodness.
like Inafune,
Inafune.
and I was like,
there was one
wait,
where
it was Inafune.
in Daniel's voiceover, he was like, "I don't know how to pronounce this, so I'm gonna do it a few different ways."
yeah, and I just said the name like in like 4 different ways. or whatever.
I always wonder that whenever I'm watching a voiceover, 'cause I
Oh.
don't make videos or anything on YouTube yet, and so when I see voiceovers and they have like a really difficult name, I'm like, I wonder how many times they re-recorded that name to get it just perfectly, you know?
Yeah, that's.
I'm gonna put this back, so I'm gonna take my headset off for a
Alright.
second so I can't hear.
I mean,
Uh,
the only reason I knew how to pronounce some names when I first started on here was because I had watched so many videos previously and had heard the name Aonuma and Miyamoto so many times that I started recognizing what the correct way was.
Mm-hmm.
So like, oh, okay. Or even Fumibayachi, I had heard that enough. So I was like, okay, I think I got it.
In the chat, J-Link there, he goes,
Everyone
we
in the
now
chat
know
is
who
like...
is cooler now. It's official. Maya's the cool one now.
The
Yes!
focus is
Tear down
did!
all my
Dang it.
stuff.
I
All my
peeked!
Zelda stuff.
I peeked! Mom, get the camera! Mom! I'm just kidding. Everybody in the chat's like, oh my god, that book's bigger than you. That book's bigger than your torso. I'm like, I know.
It's a huge book. It's a
massive book. It's
gorgeous.
so cool. But see, I never used it when I played Breath of the Wild because I wanted to play it legitimately, like, for the first time without knowing where to go, without knowing everything, right? Which is insane because up until Breath of the Wild, I looked at every spoiler, every possible piece of information that I could find about the game, including Game Over Jesse's videos, and then just as soon as I had the game, I was like, okay, I don't know anything.
Yeah. You know what's funny is just pre-release. I was when I was working at ZeldaInform.com, and I remember we had brought in a few new people. This was like a couple months before Breath of the Wild's release. And this new guy was brought into the team to work on the wiki of the Zelda, like to help edit the wiki. So basically, we had like a staff Discord server, and he got brought in, and Massey's was like, "Hey everyone, this is the new guy. He's come in here to
oh, it was after he
help edit the yeah.
Okay, I was thinking it's really sad because it's like they're bringing someone in to work on the wiki. But then Mossy's ended up just like deleting everything.
I mean, he, I think it was on the wiki on the Zelda dungeon side, so I think that stuff is still around. But he brought this guy in to work on this wiki, right? And this guy, we were just talking about Zelda news and stuff that was coming out, and then he goes, guys, can we stop talking about this? I don't want any spoilers for Breath of the Wild. And I was like, this is Zelda Informer. We have to. This is our job right now. We have to talk about the Zelda news. Like, you can't work here and avoid spoilers. You can't.
Yep.
He ended up. Massey's
ended up quitting. He was like, I'm done.
Massey's kicked him from the server. He goes, I don't think this is gonna work out.
Oh no!
I was in a really bad situation, and you can see the videos that I made of it. It was like a week before Breath of the Wild released. There were people that were doing what's the word? Unlisted live streams on their, like, it would be. So they would already have their audience or whatever, but it would be someone who either hacked the Wii U eShop to download the game early or was sent a copy of the game early, and they would make a throwaway fake YouTube or Twitch account and have an unlisted stream and share it with a bunch of people. But it wouldn't be up to where you could just find it on YouTube. You'd have to be sent a link or something. So there was some videos that I made where it was just screenshots of some of the stuff that I took from the thing, because you obviously can't post actual pictures. And if it's a game that like if I'm sent a game early, obviously I can't talk about it until after the contract is up or whatever. But if something leaks from another channel or another article, then you can report on that. So I was using the screenshots from that, but it was spoiling a bunch of stuff that I was seeing because it was like a bunch of Zora's Domain stuff, and I'm like, this is really spoiling everything for me, and like the Korok Forest and everything, and I'm like, this, like, it's cool to make the videos about it and to talk about it, but because otherwise it would have just been me like, yeah, there's the Korok Forest, and people would be like, well, there's never been a Korok Forest, this is lies, he's making it up. So I was like, okay, well, I can do the screenshots and then I can post it and talk about it, and everyone will then I'll have like visual
That's
proof.
your
Because at
evidence.
that time, like everything you talked about, people would be like, "Stop spoiling the game," or "This is clickbait." So with the screenshot, there were some people that were like, "Stop posting spoilers and stuff." And I like one person. There's so many people that got so mad because one of the thumbnails, it was on one of the 30-second trailers Nintendo released, and it had the fire dragon flying.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
It was cool.
so many people got mad. It was like, why are you spoiling the game that there's dragons in it? And I'm like, the first boss of the very first Zelda game was a dragon. Almost every Zelda game has had a dragon.
Yeah.
Like Zelda 2
It's fun
had,
fast.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, had Volva. Ocarina of Time had Volvagia. Argarok was in Twilight Princess. Valoo was in Wind Waker. Skyward Sword had 3 dragons. Literally every Zelda game, almost every Zelda game has had a dragon. So it makes sense there's going to be a dragon in that.
Plus,
But anyways,
like they're advertising the game, they have to show something
yeah,
cool to get you excited for it.
yeah.
It's not like they showed the dragon and then they paused it and they were like, so this is Dinral. You can shoot him with an arrow to harvest his scales, and then if you get 2 shards of his horn, you can go to the Great Fairy and upgrade the champion's tunic using that as an like it's not like it's like literally just like an image of like, okay, that's cool. Like it's, I don't know. That's how advertising works. They have to show you something, you know.
And even though I knew
It's not
about
like
the
they showed
dragon, even though I knew about the dragon, I was still shocked when I came across one for the first time in the game because
Gosh, so
I've been
cool.
playing the game for like 10 hours already, hadn't come across one, and I thought it was going to be a thing like you come across Argarok, but it's only like the boss fight in Twilight Princess. You come across these others, but like in Skyward Sword, they're just like sitting there. So in Breath of the Wild, I run out of the Temple of Time, and I'm just like, you know, just exploring or whatever. As soon as I turn the corner from the Temple of Time, and like the camera pans around the side of the temple, there's the giant dragon, the lightning one, flying over Hylia Bridge, or the Bridge of Hylia, and I'm just like, what? Why is the dragon there? Is that a boss? Do I have to fight it? What's going on? I'm scared.
It freaked me out the first time I saw it. I was like, oh,
I didn't realize it was going to be so big.
Yeah,
You know,
right?
like it's so much bigger than it looks in like the trailer, or not trailer. Well, yeah, it wasn't a trailer or two, I think. But like when you see pictures of it like before the game was even out, and you're like, oh wow, that's amazing. Then you see it in game, it's like, oh my god, that's amazing.
And
Especially
then,
with the blue one that I had no idea was a thing. So
yeah, that one is actually a boss
was-
fight.
Yeah, that's true. That was the cool. Just the design wise, I like the colors. I think that that one's Nadra, right?
Yeah.
Like visually, I think is my favorite of them. Just like looks so cool, but yeah, it's funny. People are funny.
Right.
it was amazing because even though I looked up a billion spoilers before the game came out, because I was like, I've been waiting for this game for like 6 years, game in my life. Even though I had been waiting so long, and even though I had seen so much, I was still surprised by so many different things in the game. I didn't know how many different things were going to be in the game. Like, the game is massive. It's really weird because, you know, I played the game. I put in probably over 100 hours on the game, if not more. But, like, which probably isn't a lot compared to, like, some of you guys over here. But, like, even with all of that, I haven't completed the game 100%. I mean, granted, I could use the guide and, like, get all the Korok and everything, but there's still, you know, a little bit of more side questing I can do. There's still more Korok seeds I can find, all that fun stuff. And it's a big game, so
Yeah.
it's really cool.
True.
Got off topic again.
Yeah,
talking
sorry.
about all
Yes.
It's very
Oops.
easy when you're talking
Yeah.
about something you're passionate about. But the last thing that I would like to say is, because you reminded me of it whenever you said, like, whenever Breath of the Wild was first coming out, you would watch like a bunch of the videos and stuff. And there's so many people that, like, they'll message me on Twitter or something, be like, I used to watch your videos all the time. Like, there's so many people being like, I used to watch like every single one of your videos, but then Breath of the Wild came out, so I had to stop. And I'm like,
I
why?
had to stop.
Yeah, and it's like,
why did you have
because
to stop?
like up until Breath of the Wild came out, it was always like news or interviews and stuff. But then after Breath of the Wild came out, it was stuff that's about things
Breath of
in
the
the
Wild,
game,
yeah.
and they didn't want to be spoiled. So it's like, all these.
I kind of get that.
Yeah.
I kind of get that, but it's like you'd already seen all the theories and, videos before that, and now we're just talking about the actual stuff in the game. Like, it's not that different.
I feel like it'd be really funny to go back and react to, like, not just Jesse's videos, but, like, maybe other ones too, Zelda Masters, everyone's predictions of what Breath of the Wild was back when it was still Wii U. It'd be funny to go back and watch and be like, remember when we thought this was a thing?
Right?
Because,
that would be really cool.
I still have a bunch of my old the prediction videos and trailer analysis stuff I did for when I was at Zelda Informer, and I was like, I went through some of them kind of recently, and I was like, oh damn, I'm good. Not to brag, but like a lot of the things that I was like, I think this is what this is for. Like a lot of it, or the vast majority of it, actually ended up being correct.
The dragon.
And I have people being like, arguing with me about it. The one thing that always sticks out to me is when you first see Rivali in one of the earlier trailers, and then people are like, I was like, oh, he's probably a Rito, and then everyone's like, that's not a Rito.
Yeah.
He doesn't look. They don't look like Rito though. And then they're like, the Rito look kind of like this, and they have the beak and then the mouth, and this guy he's different. It's gonna be a new race, and I'm like, well, they're fish that evolved into birds. So why can't they just evolve into kind of different birds? Like, but no, people were just like, so like, I'm like, sometimes the simplest explanation is the right one, especially with Nintendo.
Oh heck yeah.
Yeah, but no, people were just like, so against me, like fighting me on that.
Yeah. It's like Zelda logic. A fish can evolve into a bird. A little kid that never ages can evolve into like a wooden magical puppet thing. But a bird can't slightly change over thousands of years to different colors.
And my argument as well is like, you look at Rivali and Cass, they're both Rito, and they're very different designs, like very different looking birds too.
Different kinds of birds.
Yeah.
One looks like it was based off of the Fruit Loops bird.
He looks more like a toucan.
Oh my god. True.
So it's
Toucan.
All right, so back to the jokes.
Yes. Sorry.
Mine is the very last one, continuing with the tradition of just taking whatever was next.
Yeah, right.
This one, so the joke isn't what it shows, because it shows Link at the stable trying to turn in a monster. And he's like, what in Hylian's name? That's a monster, not a horse. And then, sorry, but we can't board that thing here. It might eat the other horses. So, while that is a bit humorous when you try to bring that in, my favorite is when you see the clips of people bringing like the Guardians or like the Hinoxes inside. And there's one where like you can see a Guardian that's like halfway inside the stable and everyone's just calm.
So it's fine.
There's a whole collection I've seen where it's Link trying to board other things. So he's got a bear, and the guy's like, you can't bring that here. And then the Stal horse, and he brings like the Lord of the Mountain.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, no, take that away from here. We're gonna be cursed. And
oh my gosh,
like,
that's so cool.
Different the stable has different reactions if you try to board things that are not horses.
Yeah, but then they're completely fine with the Guardian being there.
I was just about to say that.
But that's fine. That's normal. So,
all right, Daniel, take us to the last joke on here before we go to the mailbag.
Okay. I hope you guys didn't choose this while I was away already.
Probably
this one
did.
kind of always makes me chuckle. It's number 4.
I don't think we did.
Okay. Well, if you read the journal in Kakariko Village, the Journal of Various Worries, one of the things written in there was written about Link, I think. And it's the shopkeeper who sells like arrows. That shopkeeper, she writes, that new guy in town looks like he really knows how to tune a bow. I hope he comes by and knocks an arrow for me. It's been way too long.
E for everyone.
She's like the divorced one too, that used to be married to the
cuckoo
guy.
Yeah, and
so
there's one about that too, where he's like, my wife said I had to choose her or the cuckoos. I chose the cuckoos.
Oops. And he was called the Bowmaster. That's what he signed it off as. So he was like an archer. Also, clearly she's got a thing for that, and she's not shy about it.
Man.
Yeah, I kind of like that it shows the people that are interested in Link. Like Twilight Princess had well, aside from the common fish princess, that's always been interested in Link. But this one has, or Twilight Princess had Telba, I forgot the name. Sorry. We were talking about, Telma. We were talking about her earlier. She has like her crush on, her crush on Link and Aonuma's crush on her. Maybe that's why, because like if Link is creating the Zelda game, so it's like figuratively he's the one that decides the journey that Link goes on. So in a way he's Link. So he gets the girl that he likes in the game to like Link. So that way it's almost as if, Anyways,
wait, I thought
it's like that
Thelma
movie where
liked the guy from that village. What's his name?
Oh, the Ronaldo.
Ronaldo. Yeah, there was a thing between them.
But she definitely. Yeah, I think they have history for sure. But she definitely flirts with Link a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I just don't remember it.
How dare she?
I remember there's the cutscene after you bring you save the wagon thing. And it's nighttime and you're standing outside the place.
Flamed by arrows.
Yeah. I always liked those missions, like in Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and stuff. Anyways,
it reminds me like if Aonuma's kind of sneaky and doing that, like putting these things in the games, like there's this movie, I can't remember what the movie's actually called, but in it, it's written and like directed by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he plays the main character, and he wrote this movie where his character's a sex addict, and his girlfriend is Scarlett Johansson, and it's like. You trying to tell us something there, Joe? Like, you got something on your mind, buddy?
Yeah, no, he did the casting, he did the writing and everything.
Yeah.
So
that's basically what Aonuma's doing. He's
I like that movie.
I can't remember what it's called.
I don't remember either, but I remember like there was movies to where like favorite actors of mine, and they would like write and direct their own movies and stuff. So I would watch them because I really liked him. I fell in love with him because of 500 Days of Summer.
Oh, Don John was the name of the movie, by the way.
Don John, that is it.
But 500 Days of Summer. Right?
I love that movie.
Yeah, the whole time I was like, this is the most evil person in the world, like that girl. But at the time I was kind of going through a breakup. So I was like, maybe I was just like
girls are evil.
But she kind of, in a way, she made it up front that she didn't want to be in the relationship at the beginning, but obviously things change. So like you get the impression that things changed. Otherwise, like, why would you be with someone for that long if you had no intentions of it? But then it all works out because he finds the other girl. And then
Anyways. Have you ever seen 50-50 as well?
Yeah.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, he's got.
Even though it's got Seth Rogen playing Seth Rogen.
There was so with that movie, this was very unintentional. There was a girl that I used to like that we had went on a date or whatever, and then one of the times we were hanging out, and I had just watched that movie and I really liked it. She had cancer. And when she came over, that was one of the movies that I picked for us to watch. Not thinking about like the theme of the movie and her actually having cancer.
Oh jeez. Was it like balls, like a tear fest?
No, it was pretty good.
I'm out.
Bye,
Jesse. Bye forever.
No. We just laid there and watched the movie. It was fine.
It's this week on Friends with Friends.
Friends. Yeah,
I really don't know any of these movies.
That's the podcast that Daniel has to do. The sitcom TV show podcast.
In the chat, Gibbs says women are manipulative. Changed my mind. Well, in general, I would say
manipulative, and I don't want to do that.
Oh, that's a good.
I will neither confirm nor deny.
I would say that in general, pretty much everyone, or like, is capable of being manipulative. But
damn,
I don't know. I don't know, Gibbs.
What?
You haven't met my wife. she's very just straightforward. I don't know. Oh, and speak of the devil, and Gibbs will appear.
Hello.
Hey. Oh, I thought you were talking about your
Gibbs.
wife.
So
welcome
Gibbs,
to Friends with Friends.
Gibbs, you were talking about people being manipulative.
Yes, they are. Change my mind.
Welcome to Friends with Friends. Daniel's podcast.
Your diary. Today I made some
I've
friends.
definitely known some, like, I'd say even a girl I dated, an ex of mine, was like incredibly manipulative.
What if
loads of
Daniel's
people
the manipulative one?
I can't see that.
He's
No, I'm
Canadian.
very
He
much-
can't do that.
No, see,
I'd start to, and then I'd start apologizing.
there's 50 people just watching us talk about nonsense. So I apologize, everyone. But there's always something that made me curious. We were on a podcast or whatever, and you mentioned something about, like, I forgot exactly what it was, but you phrased it kind of like before you had met your life, you were a bad person, or like you did something. But I don't know exactly like how you phrased it, but it was like, I can't imagine Daniel ever being a bad person.
I can.
I had a couple. I definitely think that, like, I used to be very and I still am sometimes, but I used to be very full of myself and very pretentious, like just like very much like a know-it-all. And I think to a degree I kind of still am guilty of that. I try not to be, but occasionally I can still be a bit of a brag. But I definitely used to really genuinely think that I was above my peers, this is just something I've learned to be humble about it, just to like accept that
at Starbucks.
Oh, okay, well,
so
for way too long, yeah, before I got my current job. But this was more of this was before that even. Like I think having the experience of being with someone who is very down to earth and very like for me, I was like, why do people listen to, as an example, music was something I was super pretentious about. People will be like, oh, why don't you like this band? I'm like, oh, this lazy writing, it's bad music, and blah blah blah. And I'm into all these cool bands and these indie bands and stuff. And then, like, now with my wife, she's very much just like, okay, sure, you like that stuff, but like, this is just what other people like.
Yeah. You
don't have to like it, but they're not inferior to you because they don't like the same thing that you like. And so like it was a learning experience. She's helped me really grow as a person. I'm not saying like women's place in my life is not to like fix me or solve all my problems, but she's definitely been a huge support in my life to help me grow as a human being, and so be more humble, I think. So there's my spiel, everybody.
Zelda Collector in the chat says, Daniel has you all right where he wants you. It's his channel now.
This was me being manipulative.
Yeah, I just, whenever you said that, because I had no idea what you were talking about, so I just envisioned you as like an 80s cartoon villain. Like, do you remember what was the racing, like, the racing cartoon where like everyone's on the racetrack or whatever, and it's like the evil bad guy with the mustache and like his dog helper, the Waluigi stuff.
Yeah. I don't remember what it's called. I've seen that though.
So they would have the like their laughs would be like wheezy laughs or whatever, like or whatever. Yeah. Like I just imagined, I always imagined whenever you said that you used to be a bad person, I was like, that's just what popped in my head because of all the Waluigi stuff with Kayla.
I don't think I was genuinely a bad person. I just think that I had a lot of growing up to do, and there's a lot of stuff in my life that I had to work past as well. So that's just a little bit of Daniel history for everybody. So
I feel like I know you so much better now.
Oh, we just met.
I know.
I can't wait to be real right now.
And then what was it? There was something else I was thinking of, but I forgot.
I don't know.
You'll probably remember as soon as the podcast is over, and then you'll be like, oh, okay. It's gone.
Yeah, 100%. Jess is gonna message me on Discord at like 2 a.m.
I remembered!
Which will be like 5 a.m. his time.
I stayed up all night. Couldn't stop thinking about it.
Yes. So we got off topic here. I apologize.
So everyone, it's the Zelda Mailbag. So before we begin to explain, everyone in the chat, since we've gone on for way too long, we'll each just take one question. But that's why we like before we began the podcast, I had messaged Gibbs to join, and I thought I messaged the Zelda Collector too, but then Zelda Collector said he wasn't able to. So my plan was to bring at least some guest on after we found out Tubes couldn't join because of how evil Daniel is. I remembered what it was. So I may have told this story to Daniel, but it was when one of the times that I say we, but we were hanging out with Robert from Escape the Fate, and we were out at dinner, and he was talking about like old relationship problems, and it was kind of what you explained, but like times 10, because he said like he blamed it on his curse, why he I don't even know if I should be saying this, like why he would, like, the reason that he was, I guess, unfaithful in past relationships, and he blamed it on his curse of being so good looking. So when you said,
okay,
I understand completely.
So when you said you were pretentious, that's what came to my mind when he was, because he had, I don't know if he was joking, but he like had a big smile on his face when he was saying it, and I was like, is he being serious? What's going on here?
I mean, sure, but like, you know, you have to have self-control.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite examples about it is like if you can put a steak down on a table and your dog wants steak, he wants to eat that steak, and then you say no to your dog, and your dog has enough self-control to not eat the steak.
But Daniel, why do you have steak on your table?
Oh, this is an example I found on the internet, okay?
So change it to, if I have a salad on my table, if I have a vegan pizza on my table.
No, I don't want a vegan pizza because I want real cheese.
That's what you had at the restaurant, wasn't it?
It wasn't vegan. It was margarita pizza, which is delicious, by the way. It is delicious. Got big tomatoes and basil.
I think Ilya's looking at us.
That's all I got.
Like, what are these
like,
guys
I'm
talking
done.
about?
I'm done.
Like dogs, pizzas.
Just slap some marinara sauce, some cheese, and just shove it in my face, and that's all I want.
I'm pretty well good with just cheese and even just cheese.
Yeah, just give me straight cheese.
Yeah, no, I'll do that sometimes.
Oh.
I'll buy cheese and just eat it.
Gibbs, how far do you live from Louisiana?
I have no idea. I would have to look it up.
Oh, okay.
How far does Louisiana?
What part
live
of
from you?
Lauisiana?
Like,
I mean,
close
Louisiana's like
to
right next to Texas.
Yeah, like the Texas-Louisiana border.
Oh, I think it's about an 8-hour drive.
Oh, so never mind.
Texas is large.
Yeah, 8 hours is like me driving
Large and
to the
in
East
charge.
Coast. So
Yeah, they are. Texas doesn't take anybody.
because I may or may not be
I
going
respect
to Louis, like that area sometime for like maybe. I'm deciding because like Daniel's been and Kayla's trying to get me to go to Canada, but he won't marry me. So I don't know what to do. Why go to Canada if he's not going to marry me?
You convince him.
I'll show up at his doorstep.
Manipulate me,
Yeah,
Jesse.
like,
Yeah, he's gonna manipulate you.
your wife will answer, and I'll be like, "Excuse me, but is your husband home? I really need to do this." And then you come, I hand you the chocolates and flowers, and be like, "Will you marry me?"
Oh.
I was expecting a ring, but
Oh.
yeah, that's
Well,
fine.
Chablima,
I'll take
what did I
chocolate.
miss? We're talking about me coming
missed
to
a lot.
Canada to propose to Daniel.
Jesse and I are gonna get married. But your Retro already said he was gonna marry you in the chat.
I've asked a lot of people
So I
to marry me.
I know,
That's
and I just
honestly
keep
true.
telling them, don't do it.
He's come to
Jay,
my
like, blame
stream
that.
and asked people my stream to him. He doesn't even know that.
I asked her
Sees the name in
admins and
chat.
people to marry me. I asked her boyfriend to marry me.
That's also
Aw,
true, yeah.
That's sweet.
He said yes, by the way.
Oh,
Oh, so who's throwing the
now does
bachelor party?
does he
Daniel
live
or
in
me?
Canada?
I got no answer.
I need someone
gonna-
who lives in
Gibbs and I are
Canada.
gonna co-plan
Yeah, he
the
lives in
bachelor
Arizona, so
Okay.
We're gonna-
we can move. Did you say ew? Alright, I'm out. It was nice to
It's
see you. I know-
It's too hot in Arizona.
I don't like Arizona. It's Florida without the humidity, and it's
Okay,
a
but-
desert.
If you come, okay, first of all, not if you go to the right places, okay? If you go to northern Arizona, it's amazing. But also, if you go here during any time between, like, November and February, it's, like, perfect weather.
That's, like,
Perfect.
so
I have. I
circumstantial.
hated
That's,
it.
like, 4 months.
My dad
That's-
forced me to go to Arizona. I hated it.
Oh.
Arizona's Texas
Alright, fine.
without trees, so I'm okay.
Texas. With
Oh.
I only like places like
I
Colorado
couldn't
and North
handle the
Carolina.
heat.
Are actually pretty, in my opinion.
Like, California is
Alright,
too
no,
hot
that's
for
cool.
me.
I've only been born and
So-
raised here my whole life, you know? It's fine.
It's okay.
Alright.
The place I was raised in, I don't like either. I hate the beach. I hate tropical weather.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not
a
into
swamp.
the beach.
Okay, I thought I was Ilya 2.0, but it turns out I'm not, so, okay, we...
We
It's like,
finally
I grew
found
up in
it.
Florida, and I think it's one of the most miserable places to live.
Well, that's the thing there. That is what you have in common, because you both are advocating for the place you grew up in, so
No,
you're
I'm
both
not. I
incredibly
hate the
biased.
place I grew up in.
Oh, well then
Oof.
never mind. Clearly I
Florida's
wasn't.
ugly. Anyone that lives here, why would you live?
Misunderstood you.
It's expensive. It's a swamp. Your hair gets huge, and it's ugly.
That's because you have curly hair, though.
Yes, curly hair sucks here.
You have
I
to
want to live in
manipulate your
Colorado,
hair.
North
Ellie.
Carolina, or Washington.
Yeah. Proto End in the chat says I asked to marry him as well.
Yeah.
I don't
He's one of
remember.
my admins.
Okay, because I was like, I don't remember his name, but if he says I did, then I probably.
Oh, no,
did.
you did, like, several times, too. It was pretty romantic.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was
P.S.
someone.
I
also
kind of have
slightly-
to go
slightly
soon,
different.
so.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay. We should do the
Yeah,
mailbag.
the mailbag.
Yeah.
But before we do that, there's a guy in CC's Discord, Hylian CC, who direct messaged me and was like, he was probably joking, but he seemed upset that I asked him to marry me, but then never tried talking to him after that.
Oh.
Oh.
He was like, hey, what's going on? I thought we were supposed to get married. And I'm like, oh, what? What's going on? Anyways,
Yeah, it was-
Zelda
it was
mailbag.
Yes.
All right. What's up, everyone? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse. Here with us is our two special guests because Chablima is not with us. She sadly passed away after drowning in cheese pizza.
Yes, that's what happens.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So to replace her, because one person wouldn't be able to do it, we have Gibbs in the top right. And
Oh.
we're getting to you. And then we have Maya. And of course we have Ilya, Daniel, and the ghost of Tubes.
The
So-
ghost of shoes.
Yes.
This is Friends with Friends, everybody.
Welcome to Friends with Friends, where we answer your questions about Friends and other
And other 90s sitcoms.
How I Met Your Mother.
Best show ever.
All right, so if you want to have your question guaranteed to be on the show, because we're kind of running out of time because Ilya has to leave soon, we have Jacob, Michael, Elmer, Bootleg Boy, Gus, Justin, That One Pancake, Key of Time, 15, Monica, Casey, Link Use the Triforce, Megan, Lunarium, Robbie, Shadow Tusk, Rusty, Lovable Christy, maybe a few other Patreon supporters. I haven't updated it in a while. It still says the new Patreons are new when they've been there for a few months. Anyways, we answer your Zelda questions, and sometimes like this, when we don't have enough time to answer all of the questions, because right now we have like 50 questions in our mailbag. If you want your question guaranteed to be answered, you can become a Patreon or do like a super chat, and we'll answer your question. So, our guest, Gibbs.
All right, I'm first.
No, you don't even have it open. Never mind. That doesn't work out. Ilya,
I don't have it open?
Since you may have to leave soon, Ilya,
Yes.
do you have a question picked out? And of course, people watching, you can give us your question in the chat, and if it's interesting enough, we may answer it instead of the questions already in the mailbag. So go ahead, tag whoever you want to answer your question. If it's not me, I won't be jealous. Ilya.
But yes, I have a question. Sorry, my mom came in. She was trying to tell me dinner was ready, and I'm like, Mom,
Oh, what are we having? Can I have some?
healthy pizza.
So vegan pizza.
No.
That's what's on the pizza.
My
That's my
family
mailbag
likes
question.
animals too much.
Vegans
So we
are
eat 'em.
on the pizza.
Healthy as in it's not made with bread. No grain.
Grain
so-
is not inherently bad for
What
you.
what is
It's
it made out
actually
of?
not supposed to go through our digestive systems. It's very bad for us.
What is it made out of?
It's true.
But I love
don't
bread.
know. That's the scary part.
It's
But
okay.
I have been off of wheat for several months and I've never been healthier.
Tube says the longest podcast in history.
I know. Sorry, I have my question. It's from Gamer Pawn. He says, or he asks, excuse me, do you think we will ever see side quests again like in Majora's Mask? I really enjoyed the game, the time mechanic and tracking people's whereabouts and helping the town grow. So he likes stalking. I'm just kidding. I would hope that there'd be another game with as wonderful and thought out side quests as Majora's Mask had. That was something that, like, when people say how much they love Majora's Mask, it's usually because of that, the amazing side quests that they have. So I would hope. I don't know as far as, like, do I actually think they will? I would just hope so. Especially since they said they're trying to change the mechanic of the game up. You know, that was very different from the typical Zelda formula, I think. So I would like to see it.
Yeah. Everyone else thoughts on that?
Pretty much exactly what Ilya just said.
Amelia 2.0 again. Because, yeah. That's
Okay, Gibbs.
mirror.
For me, I want to go back to the original formula, but kind of mix it in with the new. Just because I miss the actual items, the hover boots or the rock feather or something, or even the hook shot. I mean, I know the
Ooh,
climbing
hook shot.
took over the hook shot, but at the same time, come on, wouldn't you like to hook shot across the whole canyon in Breath of the
Yes.
Wild? That would have been
Yes.
awesome.
Yes,
It
would
would have been,
like to do
yeah.
that.
And then kind of pull off like a Spider-Man or Batman move where you just like hook shot across and then just let go and pull out the paraglider. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that would have been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In my opinion. on the
Missed
thing.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think the reason, and I've been saying this for a long time, I think the reason that Breath of the Wild has so much stuff missing is because while they were making Breath of the Wild, they realized it was already so great. And they were like, well, how would we ever make a game better than this? So then they were
Yeah.
like, oh, well, easy. We just do Breath of the Wild again, but then we add the stuff that we purposefully left out. We have the hookshot, we
Dude.
have the traditional themed temples, we have the underwater exploration, all of this stuff that was missing from Breath of the Wild. And I think the reason it is missing is because they thought if we put everything in this game, there will be no way to make a better game. So we purposefully keep stuff out like the hookshot, the underwater, the themed dungeons, so we can put it in the next game.
If that is what they did, I'm very hopeful for the next game then. But then after that,
Yeah.
it's like, where do they even go from there, you know?
Yeah. So,
Oh,
second question, and then Gibbs, you can pick yours.
Okay.
But I wanted to do this one before Ilya's gone, because she was here with us when we had her on. Javier Vasquez? I don't know how to pronounce the last name.
Vasquez?
I apologize.
Vasquez.
Yes. Says, Game Over Jesse, would you like Patricia Somerset to reprise her role of Zelda in a sequel? So, when Patricia, for those who don't know, is the voice actor for Zelda in Breath of the Wild. We had her and some of the other voice actors from Breath of the Wild on the podcast a few months ago. And she's actually supposed to be coming back sometime soon when she releases her new album to talk about it. But when we had her on, one of the questions I had for her was if she worked on a future Zelda game as Zelda, would she want to play like Breath of the Wild 2's Zelda to explore that story and see what happened, or how every Zelda game has like different variations of Link and Zelda? Would she like to do a like game set in a different part of the timeline, or like whatever, that way she can still reprise her role as Zelda, but we know like Ocarina of Time Zelda is very different from Skyward Sword Zelda, who is very different from Breath of the Wild Twilight Princess Zelda, and even Tetra is like vastly different from any of the other Zeldas. So who is Zelda, by the way? some people get mad in the one video and it's like Tetra's not Zelda, and I'm like, well, in the game, yeah, it's like the game in the game Ganondorf.
There's a literal line where she goes, "I'm Zelda."
Yeah. So Ganondorf calls her Princess Zelda. The king calls her Princess Zelda. You see her in the princess outfit. You were told that she's the descendant of Zelda, and Aonuma, the person who created the game, calls her Zelda. So that's like one thing whenever people are like, well, Tetra's not Zelda. I'm like, have you not played the game? There's literally, like, the game calls her Zelda. It's like, you can name...
She's not, though, and that kid, he's not Link.
Yeah.
So...
I think it's just because Tetra acts so different traditional Zelda roles of being kind of like, you know, in like damsel in distress, sort of a little bit.
Well, Sheik isn't Zelda either, so
that's also true. Yeah, Sheik is not. Yeah,
that's another
spoilers.
Argument. But yeah,
20-year-old game.
Zelda. Patricia playing as Zelda. I actually forgot what her answer was. I think she said she'd be happy to do either, obviously, but
yeah, I think she was like, I don't care if I'm doing a Korok, I'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, if Nintendo's like, yeah, you want to be in Zelda, like, you're
like,
not
yes.
gonna say no, like, even if it's not the role that you set out for. Or that you expect.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But what about you guys, Ilya?
Well, I was thinking of something specifically on this when I did see that question. On the one hand, I say I would want her to reprise it, but not for the reasons people would normally think. Just because every Zelda is different, so you'd want a different voice because it's a different Zelda. But I know a lot of people are going to have really trashed the voice acting. And I think what people really need to remember before they start harassing the voice actors themselves, we don't, as an actress, we have to do what our directors say. If you want to go one direction with a character and your director says, I want you to do this instead, you have no choice. They're paying you. They're directing you. So for people that are like, oh, I hate how she voiced Zelda and all this stuff, it's like, that wasn't her choice. She was told how to voice Zelda. They picked her, and it was an honor for her. And, you know, not everyone's going to like it, which that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But so my reasoning for her not wanting her to be Zelda again would just be because it's a different Zelda. I respect as an actress so much what she did with the role because she was working under what she was told to do. And they picked her. Yeah. So
another thing that some people don't, like, I guess they aren't aware of because they don't know how voice acting and stuff works, but if you're voice acting like a cartoon, an anime, a video game, whatever, like there's been a lot of people it's like, oh, I don't agree with this line, or like they'll say like, well, this translation of this thing isn't necessarily completely accurate, and it's like you have to match the syllables of like the mouth movements when someone's talking. So it's like if a direct translation from the Japanese audio, like if the Japanese version is like 2 or 3 sentences, but it can be summed up in an English translation of like 3 or 4 words, then it's going to be like 3 or 4 words, and then the character is going to keep talking during that cutscene for so many times. So what they have to do is stretch out those 3 or 4 words and to like make it out to be not just the same length of sentences, but they need to have like exactly so many words with exactly so many syllables so it looks right whenever they're talking. So that's how you get some things shortened or some things are changed, because there's not really a direct translation from that. But anyways, Gibbs.
For me, I would like to hear her back on one of the games. I mean, as whether it would be flashbacks or something like that, whether it's a direct sequel or not, that's besides the point. But she did a great job voicing Zelda. I mean, there is that connection as far as from the moment you wake up as Link and you hear her for the first time. It might be just that the game was just that impacting because of the voice acting in ones. But I mean, it's just really good point that the franchise is going towards, adding that voice acting. And if Nintendo's trying to take Zelda kind of like a Kingdom Hearts, type of way where they have a consecutive sequels, which they've never done before, or technically, that would be great to have all these voice actors back. I mean, Daruk was just amazing on the voice.
Yeah,
One of my favorite voices.
Yeah, Joe Hernandez.
It's
And
funny when you
Rivali
talk to
was
Joe as
perfect,
well.
too.
And like when talking to Sean, voice Rivali, I could hear it like, okay, yeah, he is the actor that plays Rivali. But then you talk to Joe and you're like, this guy is both. He does not in his normal speaking voice sound like either Daruk or Yonobo. And it's just, I don't know, it's
Well, even Sean
it really goes to
as
show.
the
Oh yeah,
Deku
the
tree.
great. Yes, yeah. It's like it really goes to show you, like all these actors and how good of a range they have as well. Because even Patricia, she doesn't really sound like Zelda does, right? Like that was what they came up with and what they directed her and how they, the performance they pulled out of her was that. But like she just has a very, I don't know, a very different voice IRL. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that they did was give her that English accent, which I understand why they're trying to do it. They're trying to convey that regal attitude from her, but at the same time, it's just maybe it could have been done without it. You don't need the accent to convey that. But again, that's completely a different point. But I think it would be really good to continue that. The voice acting. I think it's really good for the franchise. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like the only one of the only people who like did not hate all the voice acting. Like I don't think I disliked any of the performances. Especially like I think one that's overlooked, the King's. The King of Hyrule?
Yes.
His
I was
voice
gonna
is
say
so good. Yeah.
I am
and, like,
King Roam Boss for Ramus
like,
He was the
Hyrule.
director.
yeah.
He was
Oh,
the one
was
that
he?
directed
Really?
everyone else. Yeah.
Well, he
did
sounded
a
great.
fantastic job as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, Daruk was absolutely my favorite voice in the game. Just like he embodied like a hero's voice. I'm like, yep, that's a Goron voice. Like 100%. Like yes, that's the giant Goron champion. Yeah, that's his voice. Like it just there was never a doubt like that. It's way too perfect. But yeah, no, like people harp on and on about it, but I just feel like I played through the game. I enjoyed it all. I don't feel like I had any negative feelings with any of the voice actors. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't see like I see people complaining about it, but I don't see their point. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There was the thing where when I was emailing and talking and messaging to the different people, and like I was like, okay, who do we have on first? Obviously Zelda, because she's the title titular character or whatever. And then we had Joe. Whenever it came to looking up, I almost said Rivali or Ravioli, as we
Ravioli.
Yeah, we I was like, do I really want him on? Because like I hated that character. But then when we had Sean on, it was
so great.
Yeah, it was like completely different. Where he was like so fun and energetic, and Rivali. Like in my head, I'm like, he sounds like an ass. Because like, yeah,
I think that's the mark of a really good voice actor, you know, because you have that ability to make people hate you, even though you're actually a decent human being.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
Oh,
totally.
My point.
And well, no, that's the like it goes to show you that range as well. Also, like learning that he was the Deku Tree as well is like, holy cow, this guy's got like and you just like looking at him as well, it's just like not the voice you would expect to come out of that skinny guy, you know. I don't know. But no, it's like these are people doing a job. I don't know, and it's and they're very talented. They're really good at what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Gibbs, do you want to pick the next question?
Oh,
we can try to get through these next three quickly, so everyone can leave.
Well, I was actually probably gonna go ahead and have to bow out.
All right. Bye, Ilya.
So go back to the
It was really nice meeting you.
Enjoy your pizza.
For anyone that
Meeting
doesn't know,
yourself.
I got rid of my Twitter, so don't try following me on there.
Oh, that's why I couldn't tag you earlier.
Yeah, sorry. Twitter's a
Oh.
toxic place, so I just got off of it. So, just for me personally, but okay. Bye, guys.
Bye, Elia. Bye.
All right.
All right.
Now that she's gone, we can talk about her. All right.
That's what Daniel said about you when you stood up.
Uh-oh.
All right. Well, for my question, I'm gonna go with Norman Abelera. I think that's how you pronounce it. Why don't all the links just pass down their items they have obtained on their journeys to the next hero?
Oh yeah,
And-
we did this one last week too. But yeah,
Oh,
I
you did?
want to hear what you say. I want to hear your
Oh,
answer.
well, I mean, just simply, I mean, the links are not directly descendant from each other, so there is no point. It's better to return it to another dungeon or the dungeon where they were found in.
Yeah.
Point and simple as that. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know what you guys have to say about that.
No, it makes
No,
sense.
it's pretty much exactly that. Like,
When you're in like the water temple from Ocarina of Time, for instance, like if you take that long shot from there, if someone else ever goes back in there, they're gonna have a hard time making their way around. Or like the Megaton hammer from Ocarina of Time's Fire Temple. It's like if you don't have that, you're not gonna be able to like open half the doors in the place. So it makes sense to be like, okay, well, I'm done with this now. I have no use for it, so I'm just gonna put it back where I found it. Like, that's kind of the thought behind finding the hero's bow, like from Majora's Mask, and then finding it in the Fire Temple in Twilight Princess, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's
yeah.
like, well, Link doesn't need it anymore, so he took it to a place where it could be used.
But it's like also these, like, I think that's what we mentioned last time. It's kind of the exception to the rule of Link not being able to. But like, the games are hundreds of years apart typically.
Yeah.
How would he pass it on? That doesn't make sense.
You just get Damp to give, like the ghost of Damp. All of your items, just take it to Damp or Dompe and be like, hey.
I was gonna say, is that how you pronounce his name? Have I been saying it wrong? I can't imagine meeting guys like, I'm Damp. I'm like, that's nice.
I thought he was Dampy.
I always said Dampe or Dompe. Is always what I said.
Like French.
I'm Damp. I don't know. I'm like,
Dampy.
just imagine me the guy goes up. I'm Damp. I'm like,
Well,
I don't want to
I
take your
always
hand
think
then.
because like the graveyard is like, you know, he's
Damp.
digging in the dirt, so and
Yeah.
then like it's raining there sometimes, so like everything's really damp. So in my head, I'm like, they probably just named him after like the location. So, but then they made it, but then they made it like they put like a French spin on it. Like Mike, who named Groose. We had him on the channel a long time ago. He worked on Skyward Sword.
Oh, wow.
They were all like sitting in the room at Nintendo. And was, like they only knew like Aonuma was just like they all have to be named after birds. So they just like sit in the room all day trying to come up with bird names for people, and then Groose got named after Goose.
Groose is on the loose.
Yeah. So
When I was a kid, I thought that Groose was gonna be like Ganondorf. I was like, I swear he's gonna be Ganondorf.
well, that's the theory that like he went on to be like the first Gerudo.
Yeah,
Caruso.
I remember that being like a
Caruso.
thing. But when I was a kid, I was like, it makes sense. There's Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf all in the same place. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. What am I thinking?
It does make sense though, because like whenever they were all cursed, like Link and Zelda were cursed because they helped, but also Groose was the one who like shot a cannon at Demise. So
That's true.
It's true.
like it would make sense for him to get two. But anyways, what are we talking about?
About the items not being passed down.
Oh,
There we go.
Yeah,
I think we covered that.
There's you can't keep track of like 20 different things over the course of hundreds of years. So
Yeah.
it kind of makes
They're
sense
just
to
put them away for safekeeping. Yeah.
yeah. Like the only
Yeah, you're interested
time
to Dumpy.
the only time that could happen is the Ocarina of Time to Twilight Princess, because like it's the
Yeah.
grandson or great whatever, but then still that's like 100 years or hundreds. What were you saying,
But
Daniel?
if he does leave, like you were saying, if he goes back and puts it back in the dungeon or something, then that is in a way, like, because you always find the item, the exact item that you need to get through that dungeon. So in a sense, that could exactly be what's going on. He just puts it back. He's done with it. He's like, okay, if anyone comes here, they're gonna need this. So I'll just like leave that there. Yeah, so kind of weird, kind of amusing thought. I just imagine like going back and planting all these items. He's like, this dungeon has a lot of huge gaps. I'm just gonna leave these hover boots in this chest here.
I was gonna say, I think the only Link that hasn't found items in the temples is the Skyward Sword Link, except for maybe like 2 items.
I think, well, Zelda 2, you don't really find items because you have to get. There's not really an item system in the same way, but that's kind of a weird Black Sheep game mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think he would be the only one that. What about A Link to the Past?
Link to the Past, you do find items in the dungeons.
Okay.
A Link Between Worlds, you don't, because there's Ravio to sell them.
He stole them all.
He stole them from the dungeons. It makes sense. So
he's like, I'm gonna make money from this guy.
Maybe he already went on an adventure through all these dungeons.
Yeah.
And he kept everything, and he's like, well, what am I gonna do with these now? make some cash.
Maya, do you have a question?
Yes. Okay, hold on. Give
And
me a
then
second.
after you, Daniel will have the final question.
The final question.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da.
Also,
Alright,
when you came on the podcast, you're probably like, I didn't think 3 hours of my life would be sucked away. Last week, when we had Miss Click, it was literally less than half of the length of this one. But on this
Really?
one, yeah, like it was an hour and a half with her.
Oh
but
my
then, like this one, we kept getting sidetracked. So
This is fine. I feel like I feel great. Like I wasn't planning on like being on the podcast for that long, but I wasn't planning on being on a podcast at all today. So I was like, all right, I guess it's gonna jump on and we'll see how long it goes. And I've had a great time talking to everyone, so I don't mind at all. The question was from J2009210 in chat. And he asked, what are your thoughts on a Zelda game with a Shadow of Mordor-like story, where there are factions of the various species around Hyrule, plus an impending war, and using Breath of the Wild's systems for stealth? Right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I was like, while I think that that's a really interesting idea, there's a reason why I don't think they've taken Zelda or many Nintendo games at all in that kind of direction, because it's already been done. It's already being done. And Shadow of Mordor, those games were really, really successful, but Zelda as a franchise has been really, really successful, right? So it's not like they have anything to prove. They can just continue doing their own thing. Now, I hope that they grow on that own thing and make it better. I would love for there to be kind of a system where, I don't know if you guys have played Shadow of Mordor, but if you get into like a side quest or something and you have like a companion that like goes along with you and he's kind of like running besides you and stuff, and that's never really been done well in a Zelda game as far as I can tell, at least none of the 3D ones, where it's like you literally have a companion following you around for like just one mission or just one quest. Like I was thinking how cool it would be if in Breath of the Wild DLC once spoilers in case you haven't played Breath of the Wild, but once Zelda is saved, I was hoping that you guys would be able to go around together, maybe do things together, but that was never really a thing. And so I think that there are some aspects of the game that I would really like to see in a Zelda game, but I don't think it needs it necessarily, because the game has already been proven to be successful, or the game franchise has proven.
Yeah, that was really good. I do want to say with the new Shadow of War, there is I haven't played it, but I remember like where they were like showing off the game before it released, the developers, One of the times they were showing off, they were putting a big focus on like when he's aiming the arrow or something and like time slows down for him. And I'm like, huh. It's almost as if another game that was really successful came out, had this same gameplay mechanic. So instead of Zelda taking aspects from Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War, it seems like it's the other way.
The other way. Which, yeah, I think that Zelda has been such a successful series of games and such, like, you know, it has such a huge fan base and everything. Why wouldn't games want to take some of the aspects that are in Zelda and use them for their own games, as long as they have them in their own way? You know, obviously if it's a direct copy, you know, it's going to be a problem. But if, you know, you see something, a mechanic that you like in a Zelda game and you use that in another game because you're like, everybody liked that, that's just smart, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I think it works both ways, you know? Just because they did it first doesn't mean that, you know, like, for example, when Aonuma was starting development before even really messing around with Breath of the Wild, he played Skyrim, right? And he was like, oh my god, Skyrim's an amazing game. No wonder why this sold like crazy. And I was, you know, no wonder much more successful than Skyward Sword, you know? And then they used Skyrim as kind of a basis to form Breath of the Wild, that open world kind of feeling. That was because they loved that in Skyrim, you know? So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Did you play Shadow of War, Gibbs?
I did not, but however, I did see a lot of it.
Would recommend. Great game.
I should probably try it out once I'm done with the semester of school. But anyway, some of the things that does call out from that game is the maturity rating from it. Then that's all the bloody battles and how it all affects that you go and take care of one general and then another one takes over, you know, instead of him. As it is, Zelda games are hard to keep track of in storyline and lore, and then if you were to add even more lore with, you know, I guess it could work out, you know, kind of having like take place maybe during the Gerudo Hylian War, maybe, I don't know. I think that would be a pretty cool story to follow and, you know, expand if somebody were to kind of take it into that direction. But at the same time, a lot of the Nintendo games, you really don't kill human characters. They either disappear or they vanish or they go to sleep. Technically,
Except for Master Koga.
Like the Gerudos in Ocarina of Time.
He does himself in though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's technically true.
Yeah, no, you can shoot a Gerudo in the face with your bow and arrow, and they just get knocked out.
Yeah, you get the little stars over their heads.
Yeah, you're like, okay, sure. That's all that did.
So it would intrigue me how it would work out. I mean, trying to eliminate generals in a war. So maybe if they were kind of like bokoblins or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
But even that, bokoblins are
King
not that
Bulblin
smart.
From Twilight Princess.
Like if they had like that kind of general, maybe, or maybe like the way, you know, in Hyrule, it's not quite the same, but in Hyrule Wars, there's sometimes those like little mini submissions, just like you got to eliminate like outpost captain or something, and it's like a bigger Lizalfos. That's I guess I could see it making it work that way, but then they don't seem like the kind of enemies that would be like generals in a war, you know?
Yeah, that's what Sorry, I was gonna say that's what I really like about when you are on your way to the Arbiter's Grounds and Twilight Princess, and it's like all of the different camps of the Bokoblins, Bulblins,
the Bulbins,
Bokoblins.
Yeah.
What are they?
Bokoblins.
Those ones were Bulbins.
Bulbins. Yeah. So that it was kind of cool on that because you would have the ones that are like really high up on the outpost things, and then they had like some of them were riding around on boars and stuff. So really cool. Daniel, would you like to give us our final question.
Yes. I had one picked out, and now I was looking at other ones. Uh-oh.
What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Organized. Or is it, who's your favorite co-host on the Hylian? No, I'm kidding. That actually is one of the questions here, but that one's not
Is it really?
It actually is.
Who's your favorite?
Actually, it was a good, kind of in-depth question, too.
Gibbs is my favorite.
Oh, thank you.
Aww.
I don't consider myself a co-host.
It's the
I'm
beard.
Just a guest.
Okay, so the question is by Deku the Boss, and they ask, so, this is a two-part question, who are the sages in Twilight Princess? Were they just there for the purpose of Ganondorf's execution? And also, how did Armagoma get a hold of the mirror shard? It was a bit of a two-part question. I don't think it's ever like 100% said, but I always assumed the sages in Twilight Princess were the sages that so like the ancient sages, so the group that Rauru is a part of. So in Ocarina of Time, you have to awaken new sages because those ones died, but in Twilight Princess' timeline, they didn't actually end up dying. Well, the one did, but so you don't have to awaken a new group of sages in that game. They're already there, and that's sort of like their ethereal sort of form that they can take on. Yeah, that's always what, I don't know if it's 100% confirmed about that. That was always what I assumed. That's my headcanon at the very least. And how did Armagoma get a hold of the mirror shard? Zant was screwing around. That's all I got. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
So, like, Goma and Ocarina of Time was inside the Deku Tree because Ganondorf came and cursed the Deku Tree. And that's why there's all the other spiders and the spider webs and everything inside. So with Armagoma, I would imagine it's... Hold on.
It seems fine.
Yeah.
The screen looks fine.
This just in.
Right. So yeah,
breaking news.
Zant and Ganondorf. Like Zant got his powers from Ganondorf, so I imagine that's why Armagoma is there. But why does the spider have the shard? Like the same reasons everyone else does that you fight.
Yeah.
I never thought about it.
I don't know. It could go. We could do it like the Metroid Prime sort of explanation, where in the Prime trilogy there's the Leviathan seeds, or like the asteroids that impact, and basically the radiation attracts things to it. So it could be kind of a similar thing where basically like it could have just found it, and like because of the magic of the mirror, it was like attracted to it, so it wanted to protect it. Something like that. I don't know, because we see the way
ring.
Lizetta, who is the Yeti, like she had just found the mirror, and then she was like
obsessed with it.
Yeah, obsessed with it.
My
Yeah,
precious.
yeah, like that. And so like it could have that same effect on other creatures that are not as sentient as the Yetis, and they don't have that sort of self-control to just lock it away, because they're just monsters.
They get obsessed by it, and then they don't have the same capability of like talking to you, so you can't really tell, you know, as easily with everyone.
Yeah.
That's a great explanation.
Yeah. Was it Ganondorf the one who originally broke the mirror shield, or the mirror shield, the Twilight?
Yeah.
Was it Ganondorf, or
I thought he was sealed and then they broke it so that no one could get out. I don't know.
They were like the sages broke it because they were like, oh, stuff's going down. We gotta stop this. I don't know. Was it the sages that broke it?
I think it was, because I'm pretty. I can't remember exactly. It's been so long, but I think that there was. I think they did it on purpose so that like you wouldn't be able to make the mirror anymore, or at least maybe I'm wrong about that, but I thought that was a thing.
Yeah.
But then like if they break it and then they send it to all these different places, then it attracts these monsters who protect,
but,
you know?
Works for me.
so like some of the medallions and stuff were like being held by the sages, but the temples were there to like worship the sages or like to honor them or whatever.
Yeah.
So the sages could have taken, because the temples all belong to each of them, so they could have taken a shard each and hid it inside their temples, because all the temples, they're not necessarily churches. Like, they're all basically dungeons, so there's like not very much that's temple-like about any of the temples.
Not really. Like, maybe the Forest Temple in Ocarina of Time, I feel like, is the most temple-like of the temples.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not really temple-y.
Yeah.
Okay, the Zelda wiki says that Sant was the one who broke the Mirror of Twilight.
Okay.
Because that would explain how he is able to come back into the world. I mean, because if it's broken, nobody can come through, right? That's the whole purpose at the end of the game, when Midna shatters it completely into oblivion. But my thing is, okay, if Sant broke it, do they just spread, or did he purposely leave them somewhere to be guarded by monsters?
Yes.
Which I think he would have done that. And well, purposely, because probably Ganondorf was like, okay, you break it, you take it here and here, whatever, so he doesn't get them. I mean, I think that would be its point. That would be why Armor Goma would have them. So I think that could explain it all, but I don't know how right Zelda wiki is.
Depends which one. Is it Zelda
Gamepedia?
Yeah, I think that one is generally pretty good as far as the Zelda wikis that exist go. So they're usually pretty good about sourcing or like citing their sources. So yes.
All right, I guess that's
Cool.
That's everything. All right,
Cool.
Gibbs, who are you? What are you doing here? Why are you?
Hello, everyone. Well, I am Gibbs. I am a admin mod in the Game Over Jesse Discord group. You can always catch me on there. We can have. I sometimes partake into the Zelda theories. And you can have conversation and find pictures of memes and whatnot.
Tinglets.
Memes?
Yeah, I was gonna say Bowsette, but no, those are not allowed.
Alright.
Just kidding. So yeah,
people in the
we
chat
try to
earlier
keep-
were talking about Linkit instead of Bowsette.
Let's not.
Let's not.
That's not right now. So you can always find me on there, have a conversation with me. I have been trying to get myself on streaming, but this semester is not that great for me. So you can always find me on Twitter at Mr. Gibbs, Mr. Gibbs with a Z at the end. You can also find me on Twitch, which would be the Mr. Gibbs. Once I start streaming on there, hopefully sometime soon, because I need to de-stress from school. Anyway.
All right, Maya, who are you? What are you doing here? Why should we care about you?
It's a great question, Jeff. Alright, well, hi, I'm Maya. I am a Twitch streamer, just started streaming about a month ago. It's been going super great. You can find me at www.twitch.-mayadenny. I was gonna say that, twitch.tv. No, but I've been streaming and I met Game Over Jesse. I mean, I watched his videos and then he added me on Discord and I was like, how do you even know I exist? Because that's insane. And we ended up getting to. He invited me on the podcast. He's jumped by the stream a few times. So now I'm a part of his Discord. I hang out there. You can usually at me and I will always be online because I never sleep and never leave my house. And I play video games and I do stupid stuff a lot of the time. So yeah, it's been good. That's why you should care. Yeah.
All right, Daniel, who are you?
I don't know.
Any of us really know?
do we really know ourselves? Apparently now you all know me really well.
Very
so
well. Yeah,
after
very
this-
well.
Friends with friends.
Friends with
Right now
friends.
is not the time to have an existential crisis, please.
That was
Okay.
earlier.
But no, I'm Daniel. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at CappedBurgerson. And also recently started on Twitch myself, in addition to doing all this business. So you can tune in Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Usually I'll announce it on Twitter, like give some advance notice there. But yeah, I also have a website called burgersonmedia.com, and that's where I
Talk
try
about
and post
cheeseburgers.
That's all the burger reviews.
It's a vegan
That's what-
or vegetarian perspective on cheeseburgers.
It's not very much perspective we had there, but yeah, no, this posts lots of like little artsy fart projects that I work on, so you can check that out as well. And I would enjoy you doing. I would like you can do that. I would like that.
They,
Words are hard. We understand.
they can also pay you to make intros and stuff.
This
Hey.
is also true. If you need a little YouTube channel intro jingle or something, yes, you can pay me to do things like that for you. And you can see an example of this. Jesse's gone through a few intros. I've made a couple of them for him, not the current one he's using. I made the one for Ilya Rose's YouTube channel, Nintendo Prime's YouTube channel. I did have one for Zelda Informer. They don't use it anymore because Zelda Informer is now defunct, but there was a really good one that I did for that channel. Yeah,
Champion Ashley.
there's some examples. Oh, I did Champion Ashley's as well. Yep. I have like a whole little demo reel on my on that website. So, yes, if you want to do that, I will
Does
do
it
the
all.
things.
Your
It'll
own
be
YouTube
fun.
channel.
It'll be... Oh, right. I have a YouTube channel called NSHG Films. You've probably seen me in the chat chatting. I haven't posted very much on there lately, but it's kind of a shared channel between myself and a couple of people I know from knowing them because I know
You
them
know
in
them.
real life.
Yeah.
So not on. So yeah, you can go check that out, and I'm everywhere basically is what I'm saying. So, and Jesse,
Huh?
who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you?
I am Jesse, I think. Hi. What's up?
Riveting.
What are we doing here?
69,000 subscribers. There it is.
Now that it's 69,000, you have to wink after you say it.
Oh, 69,000.
Yeah. I made whenever we passed 69,000, I made a post on Twitter that's like I'm obligated to make a sex joke.
Yeah, I think I liked it. I was like, yes.
So yeah, I'm Jesse. Everything, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, everything is /GameOverJesse. Join our Discord. There's a link right here for the people watching. Thank you to like the 60 people that came earlier to watch. Now there's half of you here, 32 of you. Thank you all for
Because
watching.
Ilya left.
Thank you, Gibbs, for
Thank you for having me.
joining on for the mailbag. Thank you, Maya, for joining on for the rest of the podcast. Thank you, Tubes, for going out and getting drinks with Daniel last night, which presented us with the opportunity to have these two on.
Oops.
Without
you.
inviting
My
us.
fault.
Thank you.
Inviting you to
Yeah.
international.
Yeah, Daniel. You won't get married to me. You won't even invite me to get beer.
You could come for drinks, but you gotta hop on a plane first. So I just. You were in the chat when I made those plans.
It's a $600 beer.
Yeah, that better be a good drink if you're gonna.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
No
I
kidding.
can't guarantee.
Not to gamer porn in the chat says good podcast, guys. So yeah,
Thanks.
everyone, thank you guys for watching. I apologize it was 3.5 hours. You could have watched Harry Potter or something instead. But you didn't.
Watched
You
one
chose
of the extended
Extended.
editions.
Yeah.
you chose to be here, so thank you guys for that.
Now go watch Harry Potter.
Yeah. Buy the $200 4K Blu-ray set and watch that. All
I'm
right.
on it.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everyone that's watching. Thank you all for watching.
Bye.
And we're not recording.